Good evening everyone and welcome to round 4 of GPVWC's Super League Championship. We're here today at the Hungary and I was just doing my Jonathan Ross best there during that broadcast. Get your teeth in. My name's Simon Smith and as ever I'm never alone. I'm always joined by a funky co-commentator and today it's Nick Rowland. Hey Nick.
Evening Simon, it's great to be back commentating in the Super League tonight after doing Super Cup last night.
Yes, on double barrel. How was it last night for you?
It was very good. It was obviously, since James Shepherd's now moved up to Hungarian Racing in Super League, it was a very competitive field throughout. Front two eventually scampered away, but the rest of the field were fairly compact. It was very good racing last night, actually.
Fantastic. Well, that sets us up for a good evening of entertainment. As always, cameraman extraordinaire Simon Malush is on the cameras, bringing you all the pixelated glory that is GPVWC, and we're just into the 10-minute mark of the qualifying session that's taken place. Interestingly, actually, I found that this is the first, obviously, very tight, twisty circuit that we came to. I know Australia's very pointy and squirty, and Malaysia and everyone really have their own little characteristics. The banter has been off in practice. Hardly everyone was speaking to each other at all. People really having to concentrate very hard around the Hungary ring.
Yeah, nature of the circuit, it's always referred to as Monaco without the barriers, and it's high concentration required around here, and it was noticeable last night in Super Cup as well, just how much people were very much focused. We were all quiet, but focusing on the race, and we got a great race from it, and we could see it again here tonight. As you said, in practice, everyone was a little bit quiet, and at the moment, qualifying... well, it's actually quite cloudy out there at the moment, we're seeing, but it's Alex Kim from Rude Heasterbeek at the moment.
It is indeed. Simcraft Midnight Motorsport a 1 and 3 with Euler rounding off third. Then the Turret Motorsports of Casa and Paresis 4 and 5 ahead of Tom Vandervoort. Jordan Weeks, who's taken the vacated Nord Zone racing seat. Jason Muscat 8. Luke Smith 9 and Lewis Redshaw rounding out the top 10 for Hawkeye. Hawkeye doing very well in the practice session actually. They were 2 and 3, so they're looking for a big step up on performance here today, I think. Quite a lot of teams going for the Dirty Air extra package today, I think.
Yeah, due to the nature of the track, there's only really one or two overtaking points, and turn 1 is obviously we're going to see most of the action. But you'd be surprised actually after what we saw last night, how close the option tire gets to the prime, and how some very unusual overtaking spots seem to occur even in the Dirty Air.
Excellent. So I know a couple of people who are trying things slightly different here today. Now, Dave Carr-Smith and Scott Bennett were busy chatting away in the thing, and they said, you know the thing that we said we're going to do, no one else is doing it, and that is they've gone out on the prime tyres, not the option. So they're on the yellow rims, everyone else is on the reds. Currently Carr-Smith 9, Scott Bennett in 17 for Kerno. Already it's different strategies playing out. What would that actually gain for them later on throughout the race?
Well, obviously the thing is the pace on the prime tyre won't be great at the moment for them throughout this qualifying session, but come the race they'll start on those tyres and they'll be able to run them deeper into the race and get a little bit clearer air when everyone else pits. The problem is that the prime tyre is quite a lot slower, so it depends how held up they get. And if they start the race on these tyres, they'll go deeper into the race and then they'll come and use the options at a later point in the race. So they'll actually opt for the option tyres probably later on, where you will see a lot of the top 10 in particular. Although David is currently 9th, probably out on those option tyres, really abusing them and use them very early in the race also. Get them out of the way, maybe get a bit of a train of cars behind them, because you can make your car very wide around the circuit, and that will definitely play to the advantage of anyone who's a tough defender, as Carr-Smith moves down to 10 because James Shepherd moves up into 6th for Halcyon on his first drive for that team. So those are the two big movers and shakers. Mark Wicks is still in the Woods Racing seat, currently sitting 13th on the grid. Everyone else is pretty much as you were. Still yet to set a time is Steve Verloy for Kerno down in 26th, and Miles Dixon's yet to set a competitive time in 25th. He had a torrid time in the practice sessions and has been struggling around. But so far it's now a midnight 1-2 because Euler's just gone into second, just 2 tenths shy of teammate Alex Cooper, who still holds that provisional pole, 6 minutes to go.
Yeah, Alex has done a 16.539 to Lucas's 16.732, and it's only just in front of the Nijo of Ruud Heasterbeek, who set a great lap there in the Nijo car. We've already seen how strong this Nijo car has been throughout the first couple of races this season, and it looks like their development rate of the upgrade seems to be serving them quite well once again at the Hungary.
Absolutely, Tom's backing him up there with just 4 tenths back and just a couple of hundredths ahead of another 2x2 with Casa and Parisis. Casa just popping across the line but not able to improve. In fact, that was a 1:17.7 way down on his top lap. Then it's the Nord Zones, Halcyons, Red Archers and Hawkeyes all battling along behind. Up front it's very much a Noah's Ark 2x2 for the top 6. And they're the only 6 that are within a second of the current provisional pole of Alex Cooper, who's out there popping out another lap as you speak, as is Heasterbeek, who is busy trying to get a toe, I think, off of Tom van der Voort, but that didn't quite work for them down into turns 1 and 2. I found in the Formula Challenge race, obviously a lot lesser powered cars as Lewis's Redshaw pops into 12, there's a lot to be said for setting yourself up for a good toe down the straight. It got me a good 3 tenths of a second.
Yeah, most definitely. If you're able to get the toe at the final corner, obviously it can compromise you quite a lot with the speed you require going through the final corner due to the dirty air. But if you get it just right, it can be massively advantageous. As we've just seen Lucas Euler go on to provisional pole position here. He's just beaten Alex Cooper by nearly 2 tenths, so 16.3 there for Lucas. But yeah, if you're able to get that toe down the straight, it can have a massive impact on the sector 1 lap time, and then you've got to have the confidence for 2 and 3. And you can reap the benefits, as you said, nearly 3 tenths advantage.
Absolutely, Cooper taking a very wide line. He's already gone sliding into turn 1, so maybe the aggression getting a bit too much there for Cooper on his hot lap. We'll see how that translates into lap time later on round. As you attack this circuit, obviously with 4 minutes to go, the clouds are out, the track temperature is relatively cool for what we've seen around the Hungary Ring this week so far. How do you personally play a qualifying session? You're a man of macho racing experience. Do you like to stick in a banker first and then gradually crank it up, or do you like to go, right, bang it?
With my style of racing, unfortunately, I've been not one of the optimal quickers. I just tried to go straight away and get a time lap in. Doesn't matter if it's a banker or not. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. I'll just keep on trying to knock out the qualifying laps, as many as I can, to see if I can improve on the time, to be honest with you. But the nature of these tyres actually require you to do a couple of laps, and it's only maybe 3 or 4 laps on a run of tyres before you actually get the quickest time. So it can vary in people's strategies what they decide to do between the option and the primes also. But the nature of the tyre would suggest that going later into a stint and running out a little bit more fuel has quite an advantage. So people will probably do the first lap as a banker, do 2 possibly slow laps, and then a very quick maybe 3rd or 4th lap, depending on how their tyres react. So it just depends really on how the car's set up and what you're most comfortable with.
Parisis just moves up into 4th position with that, splitting the Nijos of Heasterbeek and Van der Voort. So I think there's going to be plenty of inter-team rivalry there. Jason Muscat has just moved into 11th, and Ben Warren up to 13th, and Mark Wicks to 14th for the Woods Racing team. So they've popped themselves back up into contention. A real little splatter around in the midfield, a good cluster of cars. I think we're going to see today's race really break off into groups as we come down to the last 2 minutes, and I think everyone will be getting their last little dig in before you can get into the actual race itself, to hope that they can pull themselves up the grid slots. Because obviously, as you said around here, Monaco without the barriers, going to be an interesting one to see exactly where you pitch yourself come turn 1, I think.
Well, it's not only that, honestly, due to the nature of the start as well, how much of a tight hairpin it is. It's quite a wide exit, there's plenty of AstroTurf out there. You're really looking for a good qualifying position, but the more critical thing is a good start. You really want to be getting into turn 1. With how wide turn 1 is on the exit, we saw it last night where people were braking so late into turn 1. It was Sindre Grimseth that pulled a move on Ryan Walker. He went so deep into turn 1, but because of how wide it was, he got a massive cutback and passed Ryan Walker all the way around the outside. So it's critical to get a good start here also.
Absolutely, I have to say I was busy doing that in my FC race, trying to defend from people. I found that you could go in late. I don't know why. It's a thing of the modern circuits, as Muscat pops into 12th, I think that is. Sorry, 10th for Red Archer, just popping in there with 1 minute left to go. The nature of the more moderner circuits is that obviously you've not got immediate problems with gravel or anything like that there, so the risk feels minimal. So you kind of think, I don't know what, I feel like I'm more confident to take a chance around here because it's going to be less of an opportunity to have it bitten back on me.
Yeah, you always want to try and take a little bit more of an opportunity and look for that most advantageous line. And people were doing that yesterday as well. And with the way you have to defend around this circuit also, it can create quite some sketchy moments at times, especially how close you get down to that start straight wall on the right hand side, as we saw a few years ago with Schumacher and Barrichello. It's very much the same here. If you get a good run at the final corner, you really want to get to that right hand side to defend it, and that can be quite difficult at times.
The Nordstones have just pulled out their last minute bag, so they've still got 1 lap to go, but Carl Smith's just moved to 7. Teammate Jordan Weeks has gone into 8th position, so he's certainly backing up his teammates, but they're over a second off of Euler and Cooper. They've both popped into the pit, so there's no more laps for them, as has Heasterbeek. Paresis is just coming out of the final corner to see whether he can get a time. The clock's at 0 and he's not improved, so Paresis will stay 4 for the time being. Tom van der Voort just coming around the final corner now for Nijo. Let's see what he does. It's his 11th lap of the quali session. Will it be his best? It will, but it only moves him forward to just 15 thousandths of a second behind Jim Paresis. So he's unlucky there. Kasser and Carl Smith is in the pits. Weeks is coming round for a last one, but he's ran wide in the last corner, and he'll wish you'd have popped that one into the pits instead of eating more life out of those red-rimmed tyres. And that'll keep him there with Redshaw and Muscat rounding out your top 10. And everyone's done laps. Liechtenstein just popping in Miles popping in a last minute effort there to move into 24th. I think everyone else is pretty much spent and done. And that's your grid so far. It's a Midnight Motorsport 1-2 then, with Euler beating Cooper, Heasterbeek 3 for Nijon ahead of Paresis 4 for Torrent, and then their teammates Van der Voort and Kasser rounding out the top 6.
I think it's great to see also with the way the upgrades are working now. Ruud Heasterbeek down to Jordan Weeks, that gaggle of cars have quite similar-ish upgrades as well on the cars. And it's reflected in the fact that Ruud Heasterbeek has done a 16.7 down to Jordan Weeks, who's done a 17.6. So it's interesting to see how close those particular cars are together. And I think they've got to the point now where they're all very, very close on upgrades. I believe the Nijo's still in front, but the Torrent, I believe, for this race has overtaken the Norwegian, which is why you see Carl Smith and Jordan Weeks down in 7th and 8th respectively. Jordan Weeks replacing Lee Morris. The Hawkeye, though, once again, as we've seen in the past few races, will in the hands of Lewis Redshaw. 9th place was a great effort, and Jason Muscat and the Red Archer in 10th. New boy James Shepherd has come up from Super Cup and for Halcyon has gone into 11th place. That's solid outing for his first run in the Super League.
Absolutely, and if you want to pop yourself on the map, there's no better way to do it than a stellar qualifying effort followed by a very solid race performance to see if he can just get himself into the points on debut, and that would be awesome. Mark Wicks not taking any tot either in 13th for Woods Racing, showing much better form than what we saw from him last season. Actually feels like a little bit of a man slightly reborn, given a second chance there with Woods to be back on the grid after Tom's absences. And then behind, actually, it's good to see that Phoenix have kind of pulled back into the rest of the field a little bit, and ST kind of there or thereabouts, although Dixon and Liechtenstein's particularly a little bit off the pace from the rest of the field. We're into the 5-minute warm-up session now. Just a quick look at the drivers' stand-ins. We've got Dave Carr-Smith, who is our championship leader, well clear on 66 points. 17, in fact, clear of Ruud Heasterbeek, who's on 49. Lucas Euler's on 45 points, with Alex Cooper on 43, with Paresis and Kasser on 36 and 30 apiece. 18 drivers have scored, Teemu Toika being the last of those with 2, and he's not here today. The constructors, though, have Midnight slap bang on top with 88. Is that 2 fat ladies? Yeah, it is.
It is.
Oh dear, that brings back memories. Nordstone second on a 79. Ahead of Nijo on a 69. That's more my style. Torrent on 66. Devil advocates there. Red Archer on 42. Equal with Hawkeye, so that'll be an interesting one to see. I wasn't aware that they were so close together. And then it really does seem to be a Division 2 for the rest, with Green Stripes, Halcyon, Kerno, Constant and Woods barely amassing more than 35 points between the 5 teams. So, looking forward to the actual race itself. Nick, you sagey mystic meg of a man. Any predictions?
I don't think that's my place to be calling a prediction, because you know what it's going to be.
Oh. Okay, anything outside
if you really want an honest prediction, I'm going to say Midnight 1-2, obviously. And I believe it's going to be one of the Torrents in third. I'm not too sure, Jim or Petter. I'm not too sure who's the stronger one on race pace, but I think one of the Torrents will do very well today and sneak that third place.
Okay. Well, you had it from Septic Peg himself. He is out and about, and obviously he's got an angle to come from, but never mind, never mind. I'm here to give a balanced view on everyone all the way back to 26.
Yeah,
I promise.
you balance this out quite nicely there, Si.
I do. There is plenty of Y chromosomes in me. Moving on. However, it's been an absolutely corker of a week of sim racing entertainment actually over on here on GPVWC. As you were saying, you were seeing some surprising places of overtaking. I've seen some surprising cars upside down during some of our races as well.
There was that incredible one in Formula Challenge in particular.
Yeah. I came across some of the remains of that, and I thought, Jiminy Cricket, someone believed they could fly at some point, but I don't think they did, and then his teammate ended up the same way round. I found actually when I was out on track in the Formula Challenge, it may not translate to these cars because they're much faster, but a lot of people were having a go into the third last corner, obviously, because that's like second best. But I also found in the quick chicane, I made a couple of moves. I'm going to toot this because this will never happen again. I barely overtake anyone unless they're retiring. Going deep into the chicane and having the inside line. I don't know if anyone else will fancy a go at that, but we'll see.
Well, again, like I said, when it comes to the tyre compounds in particular, when you get the tyre split between the prime and the options, people seem to be taking these very daring, risky moves, especially when it comes out of a high-speed corner. Due to the amount of grip they have, they're getting a better exit. So run up towards that chicane, or possibly, like you said, third last corner, coming down that down the hill from the fast right-hander in particular. If you're able to get on the inside there, then that is another overtaking spot. Not a classic one as such, but it's been utilised quite a lot over the past 2 days.
I do miss that flick-flack in the final corner. Why couldn't they have just kept that and then had a little 90-degree at the end? That would have been quite nice.
It would have been nice. I think a lot of these circuits have been heavily changed and not so much for the good either.
Neutered.
Yes, yes.
Oh dear. I wonder if Herman Tilke runs some kind of veterinary clinic. It's just symbolised by big jumbo pliers. Anyway, we've just got 40 seconds left until the warm-up gets ready to go. Chris Williamson's race director is saying, get ready folks. Strategy. Tyres were a big issue for me in Formula Challenge because I am a dirty little moose with my tyres. Are we going to see the same thing here today, do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll see something very similar to what happened in Supercup last night, also with varying strategies. Oscar Harwick, unfortunately, saying at the end of the broadcast as well how he forgot to switch over onto the option tyre at the end of the race. But I think we'll see a similar strategy in around that 3 stops where you go on double on the option and then one on the prime I believe is the optimised fastest way around this circuit, and it looked like it would have been that yesterday, other than that slight mistake for Oscar. But nevertheless, it would appear at the moment that it is the most optimum strategy. Yes.
Okay. Well, already obviously strategies played out in the qualifying session with the Nord zones going on the yellow rimmed tyres as opposed to the red ones. The options are the primes. So we shall see.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
And 70 laps of the Hungaro ring is about to get going. It is dry. I wouldn't say it's the most beautiful looking clouds out there, but we'll do for now. Do love this RFE plug-in. It always gives us a little twist in the cocktail that is a dirty, filthy one.
Yeah, those clouds look pretty menacing. The chance of precipitation was quite low for this race, so maybe Bennett and Carl Smith are opting to run deeper into the race and hoping for the rain to come and switch onto those rain tyres.
Yep, you can never discount anything as we go on the formation lap, and it's Midnight Motorsport 1-2 on the grid, locking out the front row. Lucas Euler taking it again from Alex Cooper to continue to show his qualifying dominance. Third is Ruud Heasterbeek, hoping that he can rudely awaken them down into turn 1 for Nijo. Jim Parisis is fourth for Torrent Motorsports, and to think how far they've come from the debut race with their car. and they're still not that much further up the grid, but I bet they've got a much more comfy ride for it. Tom van der Voort is 5 for the second Nijo, Peter Casa 6 in the second Tyrant Motorsports. Then it's an old Nord zone, row 4, with Dave Carr-Smith ahead of Jordan Weeks, and then Lewis Redshaw for Hawkeye and Jason Muscat for Red Archer, rounding out the top 10 with 2 excellent performances there. James Shepherd makes his debut in 11th position ahead of Bart de Vos 12 for Hawkeye, and rounding off the top half of the grid is Mark Wicks for Woods Racing.
Yeah, we move then on to David Junt. He's in 14th place. We then got Ben Warren for Woods Racing. He's in 15th place. Steve Verloy back in the Kerno in 16th. David Gaspers in the Green Stripes is in 17th place, with Mark Stanton in the Constant in 18th in that wonderful livery car. We always say about it, but it really is an awesome looking car. Adam Rouse is in the second Halcyon. Teammates James Shepherd now that Phil Cullen has stepped down, so it's Adam Rouse still in that second Halcyon. He's in 19th place. Scott Bennett is in the Kerno and also one of those drivers that is on the prime tyre. Boyd Bryson is in 21st with Mark Fuller in 22nd place. Dave Stanton is 23rd in the second Constant, with Miles Dixon in 24th. Kieran Ryan is 25th, and Christoph Liechtenstein rounding out the back of the field, also on the prime tyres, in 26th.
That's interesting to see that he's gone for it. That might explain the fact that he was nigh on 3 seconds shy of his teammate, so some of that will be attributed to it. Watch out for the back couple of drivers. They'll be starting almost on the back of the turn, actually, so I found it difficult to start there, and someone's got it wrong actually on their grid slot right at the very back there. Who is that? That's someone having it right. They're just trying to sort each other out, so one of the Kernos getting
Scott
back into
Bennett
position.
was one of them, and I think one was Mark Fuller.
Dear, well, they've all got themselves sorted out in the car park now, and here come the lights. The Hungarian Grand Prix for GPVWC Super League 2013 is go! Off and away goes Euler. Cooper's bobbed down and slightly. Frugo's he's to beat straight away. In fact, Cooper's had a torrent start. Frugo both new shows. Frugo's Carr-Smith is storming absolutely through on the primed. Euler takes the lead though for the time being. Van der Voort's through. They're all trying to nestle their way through. Nicely clean start. Only Gaspers is out on the AstroTurf and Ben Warren's out already. He's crashed off the line. Oh my goodness me, he hit Boyd Bryson's the other one that was in trouble too. So Warren out before he could get across the line, but it's Euler ahead of Carr-Smith, who made a tremendous start getting around Cooper. Then it's Van der Voort, he's to beat Cooper, Casa, Parisis, Weeks, Redshaw and James Shepherd rounding out your top 10 as they come down to the chicane.
Yeah, Dave Carr-Smith with an unbelievable start. He went from 7th to 2nd place and nearly took first, but Lucas Euler cut him off, seeing that he was coming pretty fast. He swept round the outside of all the chaos on the inside, went to the left-hand side of the track before going right. And Carr-Smith went from 7th to 2nd place by turn 1. Very impressive. But he's now got a Nijo hustling all over the back of him. Of course, now the problem Dave's going to have is the fact he's on the prime tyre and all these guys are on the options with much more grip.
Yeah, indeed. Gaspers and Fuller are the two without a front wing, as is Boyd Bryson. So those three will be limping in for repairs. Euler's romping away, and look at the Carr-Smith train that is going on behind. We were joking in the practice session beforehand that it was going to be a Bennett train, but now it's a Carr-Smith one as they all come flying out. And what's the advantage? 2.7 seconds immediately. There is Van der Voort. He's trying to go to the outside line. Carr-Smith goes defensive. You can run deep into that and cover the line and make sure that you're the inside for the next corner. A slight tap on the rear, leaving the front wing very much attached to Tom van der Voort, but you won't want too much of that action, and Carr-Smith holds the line into turn 2. If you can just get the cut back through and for 3, he's okay for now. But look at the way how they're all just going to shuffle up behind. If he set his car up so that actually he can get good acceleration and good straight line speed, he could very well be the cork on the champagne bottle of the rest of this field.
Well, Dave is renowned for going for a downforce setup that has a lower rear wing and having much more weight over the nose, so he may be able to hold Van der Voort off for a period of time, but the superior grip will surely play into the hands of the Nijos and Alex Cooper behind, and both Torrents are there ready to pounce also. Petter going in front of his teammate there, Jim Parisis, and then Lewis Redshaw is holding on to the coattails very, very nicely in 8th place in that Hawkeye, with Jordan Weeks on debut just behind and Jason Muscat in 10th. James Shepherd hasn't improved, he stayed in 11th place in the Halcyon, but this train is incredible behind Carr-Smith. The entire field is pretty much bunched up behind Carr-Smith at the moment.
All the way down to his fellow partner in crime, Scott Bennett in 16th. It's a top 15
Second to 15th, all in one place. Steve Verlooy's at the end of it, and they don't want to be Verlooy down into a corner anywhere, because he'll be the one that will steam it through if anyone's going to do it. No one really having a look down into turn one. There's a couple of rain fades. Kieran Ryan's having a go at Scott Bennett, and he's going through for 16th and 17th. Bennett pushed out wide, and Ryan has the position, although Bennett's trying to cut back, but I think that could end in tears, potentially. No, Ryan's got it. Rouse is the next one under his attack. But just look at the way how... from 2 downwards, it's just like the high-speedest snake that you could ever possibly imagine continuing round, as David Gaspers calls it a day for green stripes racing. Oh, I look like his front end had been raped by someone. He'd stuck it in somewhere, but there we go. Never mind. Another day.
Carl Smith is under heavy fire from the Nijos at the moment. Van der Voort is trying every which way to get by him, and he cannot do it. Oh, big moment there for Heasterbeek, because Alex Cooper's down the inside. Heasterbeek got a bit wide. He's just held on to it, though. There was a big moment there for Heasterbeek, and Cooper nearly capitalised. But Carl Smith is still holding off Van der Voort. Dave's getting a great drive out the final corner, and there's not a lot that Van der Voort can do about it. But Lucas Euler is now 7.3 seconds down the road already.
That is absolutely crazy. A 1:17.876 was Euler, a 1:20.392 for Carl Smith. This is absolutely playing perfectly into Euler's hands. Or does it mean that actually he's going to end up being reeled in at this rate by Carl Smith later on down the line? It depends on how quickly and easily Carl Smith is dealing with the problems behind him and trying to not let it affect his overall pace. But still, all the way down to Verlooy in 15th, they're just snaking through. Ryan is not able to pull away from Bennett, so it's very much a 2-tier service going on in this Grand Prix if you discount Euler waltzing away up front, as the gap's 7.6, and they've got to be careful into the chicane. I've seen a few little nudges on the way in. They've just got to make sure that they're comfortable with the concertina. James Shepherd nearly getting caught out this time round, but they've just got to make sure that they know exactly where their nose cone is going, because someone could very well end up bitten at some point round this circuit.
Absolutely, and the pace for Dave at the moment is horrible in comparison to Lucas Oil, and he's romping away, but it's allowing all these guys behind to stay right with Dave. And of course, they're all on the optional tyres, so this is working out great for Dave, because it's slowing everyone else down who need to be pulling away. These guys need to be pulling away from Dave, and they're just stuck behind him. So in terms of the podium at the moment, with how this works and the pace that Dave's running, it's horrible in comparison to what all these guys behind need.
Oh, and you can see Tom Van Voort's thinking, which way do I go? He's looking to the left, looking to the right. Which way shall I try and surprise him this time? But Carl Smith's trying to get it covered each way round, and you can just see it's no one else is daring to try and move particularly behind. We've just had Christoph Lichtenstein bin it out of turn, that's just into the last sector actually. So fourth last corner he binned it on. So that's the third retirement of the afternoon, evening, or wherever you are in the world. And look at that, Cooper having half a go. Heasterbeek having to go so defensive into the chicane. And it's just, it's an absolute joy to watch. But they're starting to lose Junt, Wicks and Verlooy, who are getting into their own little embroiled scrap. And maybe as the screw starts to tighten, because that was the first lap Carl Smith got into underneath 120, maybe we'll start to see the field start to drop ever so slightly, almost like an eliminator race.
Van der Voort, we saw this in the Red Bull ring. He never really has the balls, if you like, to go for some of these overtakes.
Round's gone Lewis Redshaw. Sorry to interrupt. Redshaw off in the second to last corner. Just a chunky pirouette, but it's dropped him out of contention. He's rejoined in 15th. Hasn't looked like it's affected anyone else behind, except possibly James Shepherd's having a go at Jordan Weeks, but he didn't make it stick into turn one. But Brittany, unfortunately, that was not one of your best sellers.
No, and Carl Smith's still holding the two Nijos up behind, but Van der Voort is not really wanting to take these opportune moments, and it's not the driver that Nijo really need in front. Heasterbeek's more likely to go for a more daring move on Carl Smith. And Van der Voort, he's had opportunities, about 3 opportunities already to pass Carl Smith, and he just has not taken them. So he's got to get a little bit more daring and try and go for a late braking manoeuvre to get by Carl Smith. Because at the moment, this pace is just horrible for all these guys on options.
At what point do you say as a team boss, do you know what, let Ruud have a go?
Now,
I know that's a terrible thing to say.
I know, but Tom's not doing enough to try and get past Carl Smith at the moment. He's got to get more ballsy. If it's not going to happen, they need to let Ruud have a go and try to get past Carl Smith to, like you said, release the cork as such, but it's just not happening. Now, Van der Voort's got a good inside line into the final corner, but again, that's a bad exit and oversteer as well. He's not getting this set up properly, although that's a great drag he's getting. Carl Smith having a bit of a moment. He's got great drag going into turn one. Is this going to get it done for Van der Voort? Again, he's just not late off on the brakes. He's not... Oh! Try a nudge instead. That's going to work. Yeah, Van der Voort's got him now, unless Carl Smith comes back at him towards turn two. He does. And again, Dave Bush brakes later. Van der Voort's got to get on these these option tyres and really, really use them.
Do we think that Carl Smith is driving within his limits, I wonder, just to make sure that he's making every single incentive class? Van der Voort having a half a nose into turn four. Don't stick your nose in anywhere. You've got to make calculated attacks if you're going to do it, and then just stick your wang right in, as Heasterbeek having half a go down into the hairpin, chicane, sorry. The TMO drivers were having their own little spat down into turn four as well. Paresis had almost got half alongside Casa and just had to back out a bit at the last second. Muscat is still in 8, Weeks is 9, Shepherd then De Vos, and we're losing now Junt, Wicks and Verloy, and Redshaw's just joining back onto it all again. So they need to just kind of calm themselves down and stop fighting with themselves to ensure that they get back onto the end of this tail. But yeah, 15 seconds now, the gap between Euler and Carl Smith. That's coming up to a pit stop very, very soon.
That is incredible. We are 7 laps into this race, and Lucas Euler is 15.7 seconds down the road from Carl Smith, who's just on a 19.1. They're still not even in the 18s, and Lucas is lapping mid-17s. In fact, he's got up to back markers at the moment. He's getting closer and closer towards back markers, I believe.
Yeah, it's Fuller and Bryson. They came in for front wings at the end of lap 1. Bryson had a torrid time, didn't get off the line. Fuller was involved, I think, in the Warren retirement. So they're busy now squabbling over the wooden spoon position, but Euler is catching them at a rate of knots. Carl Smith for the first time looking like he's about to drop into the 118s almost, as Van der Voort runs out quite widely, but unfortunately still no place to really capitalise it. And you always get hypnotised in one of these trains sometimes, because if you lose the actual I'm going to have a go, I'm going to have a go, I'm going to have a go, you almost accept that you're going to follow the tracks as you were, and you start to, drive within the car ahead's pace, not necessarily your own.
I absolutely agree with you on that, and Van der Voort's doing that at the moment. Heasterbeek and Cooper's cars are moving about so much behind, trying to look at the track and trying to pick up the apexes much earlier. Van der Voort, I think, is looking at the back of Carl Smith's car, and again, look how far he is off the back of him. He's got to get closer on these option tyres. And Cooper's got a nice run out of the final corner towards Heasterbeek, but Heasterbeek's in the toe of his teammate Van der Voort there. And again, status quo, but it's now 7/10. Carl Smith's in fact pulled away on that lap. He did an 18.7, but Van der Voort only did an 18.8. And it could be that it's getting to the point where the Nijo team want to release Heasterbeek onto the back of Carl Smith. Because these guys are all running exactly the same pace behind you. Casa and Paresis in the Torrent cars, the same as well. Muscat, Weeks and Shepherd. Shepherd having a great race in that Halcyon at the moment. He's in 10th place. Bart DeVos is a further 1.5 behind in the second Hawkeye. So it's pretty much status quo all round at the moment.
He was. Van der Voort back onto the rear again of Carl Smith. I was just about to ask the question, has he spent his rubber? But actually, he's just re-answered my question by pulling right up onto the back to him. Must have just been a bit of a shoddy lap. Cooper is almost attached to the rear wing of Heasterbeek around some of these corners. Van der Voort goes out wide.
He's got a great run.
He's got a great run.
Well. Can he go down the inside? No, he's got a better straight line speed. It's going to give the Torrance a shot though.
Yes, indeed, because that now puts him in the back foot for Casa. Casa having half a look into the second to last corner. Not really the best one to work it on. If you can go around the outside on that corner, you've got the inside for the final one. You can just displace Cooper slightly. It's not worked out well for him. A little bit of a shake around on the exit. If anything, now Paresis is in prime position to have a go. Behind, as is Shepherd having half a look at Weeks, but again, they're just that couple of hundredths too far back to really make an attempt of a proper lunge, really, isn't it? And they're just now starting to drive not within each other, but kind of toing and froing. A lot of drivers talking about the dirty air on the way in, saying this dirty air is going to make the race really interesting. At what point does that dirty air start to go, ouch, my tyres now start to fail?
I'm not too sure, but these guys are certainly going to be feeling the effect with how long they've been behind Carl Smith for. So much so that Lucas Euler is 18.5 seconds down the road on these soft tyres at the moment. He's on the option compound tyre, and Carl Smith still holding up the two Nijos. Alex Cooper, both Torrance, Casa from Paresis, they swapped at the start. Muscat is in 8th. Now he's just fallen off the back a little bit. It's 2.1 seconds, and he's got Jordan Weeks closing in on him with James Shepherd in 10th spot.
We have had a couple of changes of position towards the rear end of the field. Mark Stanton has overtaken Adam Rouse for 18th and 19th places. They're still battling away with Scott Bennett because they can't get round him, who's also doing this prime option giggles. And Boyd Bryson has overtaken Mark Fuller whilst they were being lapped by Lucas Euler. So that was a good move there by Boyd, and he moves up the order indeed and is no longer in wooden spoon position, so well done to them. We'll see how they progress later on, as once again he's to be under attack by Cooper, but Cooper just nowhere to really finish off the manoeuvre. And
the Nijos got great straight line speed there, sorry Simon, that they really have optimised that straight line speed, and for some reason Van der Voort can't utilise it behind Carl Smith.
So Nijo has got better straight line speed. What would you say is Nordstone then got over the Nijo in terms of car performance?
Well, the Nijo has the better car overall than the Norwegian at the moment as well, and he's on the option tyre, but Carl Smith is still able to stay in front of him. So the only thing I can think of is the fact that the Nijo is suffering with a significant amount of dirty air effect. I'm actually really shocked at how long Dave stayed in second place in front of the two Nijos and Alex Cooper. In fact, that's oh, there we go, fastest lap there from Lucas Euler, 17.3, while Carl Smith's still lapping in the high 18s at the moment. So that's another second or so out of the lead advantage for Lucas Euler, which is up to 20 seconds now. So yeah, this is surprising. The Nijo's definitely getting out the final corner very, very well. So is Alex Cooper. He closes, but the straight line advantage sticks with both Nijos. But the Nijo doesn't close on the Norwegian at all, and somehow that Norwegian is still on those harder tyres, being able to capitalise. So Dave Carl Smith not only has straight line speed, but he has more grip in the corners, it would appear.
It does indeed. The best one that's going on at the moment was Weeks and Shepherd were side by side into turns 1 and 2. Weeks had the inside line and held on for Nordstone against Halcyon. Those two are actually the closest two that are out there at the moment on track. I'm starting to see people running wide at turn 4, so I'm wondering, because obviously Euler down in the low 17s and Carl Smith's times are dropping and dropping and dropping, I wonder when we'll start to see, well actually, you know what, that gap isn't opening up nearly as far as what it is, because it's just gone back under 20 seconds. I think Euler must have had a bit of a tardy sector somewhere along the line. And Carl Smith for the first time really having a vague bit of air, as that looks like Cooper again having a nose. He's to be, but nothing doing, unfortunately. There must come a point in the next 2 or 3 laps where actually, do you know what, tyre performance are going to be nigh on the same.
Carl Smith, well, his last lap was an 18.4, so his times are coming down, while Lucas Euler is still in low 17s, another 18.4 there for Dave, so they're lapping quite consistently. He's lapping quite consistently mid-18s, but it's 21.5 seconds now for Lucas Euler out front.
Nutty stuff. So a run through of the order then just before we start, because I think on lap 13 of 70 this is going to be a prime opportunity to go through it before we hit pit stop territory. And it is still, as you watch the battle of squiggles and snakes, Lucas Euler leading by 21 seconds from Dave Carl Smith in the Nord zone. Then it's the two Nijos of Van der Voort and Heasterbeek 3 and 4. Cooper and Casa Cooper is 5 midnight. Then it's Casa and Paresis. Get your tongue in, Simon, for Torrent Motorsports. Then there's a gap now back to Jason Muscat in 8th for Red Archer. He's dropped off. Jordan Weeks is 9. James Shepherd's made a mistake and dropped back 1.5 seconds from Weeks in 10th, but they've well dropped now. Bartlett Boss in 11. David Junt 12 and Mark Wicks in 13. They're half a minute now off the leader and some 10 seconds off of that squiggly battle for second downwards. Then it's Redshaw in 15th place behind Steve Verloy. Kieran Ryan is in 16th, having passed Scott Bennett and has pulled away 5 seconds. Bennett, though, is still holding off Mark Stanton and Adam Rouse, the constant and Halcyon, so he's even able to have his own little mini Bennett train. Miles Dixon is unlapped in 20th, whereas 1 lap down is David Stanton, who came in for a stop at the end of lap 1 for a nose. Boyd Bryson and Mark Fuller, all 3 with a front wing change. Both Green Stripe Racings, though, crashed out within the first 3 laps of Liechtenstein and Gaspers, and Warren didn't even make it down to turn 1 before he was in the wall.
Yep, Carl Smith still holding off these two Nijos. Tom Van Voort got close once again, and Alex Cooper also had a look on that downhill turn 14, I think it is. He had a bit of a nose to the inside of Easterbeek, couldn't get it done though, same as he did a few laps ago. Van der Voort is starting to make a bit more of an impression again on back of Carl Smith though, as they all lap in the mid-18s once again, and out front it was a 17.2 for Euler. Another fast lap of the race. He's coming to the line again now. Does he do another one? He doesn't. It's the same again, 17.2. So it's very, very close on times.
Now coming up to that Bryson now, who is our second last runner. They've already got round Fuller. Boyd was having plenty of problems in the practice sessions. I kept seeing him spinning out of the second last corner, and I saw him in the barriers out of turn 3 as well. So he certainly had some adventures around the track. As again, Cooper close, as is Casa to Brutus to Casa slightly. Everyone's favourite hummus man. But we'll see what Bryson does. Back marker around these types of tricky, tight circuits can always throw in a wild joker here and there.
Yeah, Boyd Bryson just in front of Carl Smith, so he's going to realise fairly shortly, but then he's got basically the entire field coming by him next, so he pulls to the right. Van der Voort will get him as well. I don't know if Easterbeek will. This is going to be very tight going through turn 4. Ooh, yeah, he really had to let out the throttle there as well. So Easterbeek goes by and so does Cooper. But he's dropped it back a little bit from his teammate. Casa goes through also with Paresis. Muscat's gone as well, so they're all getting... Oh, sorry, Muscat will be the next man to pass Bryson, in fact, on lap 15.
Yes, indeed, so we're hitting possible pit stop territory. Muscat there gaining.
Oh, wow, 16.8 there from Euler. He's dipped into the 16s now. He's 26 seconds in front.
Oh, come on, Lucas, you're taking it. Come back. All is forgiven. Carl Smith on an 18.3. We'll see what he's done this time around. It shouldn't be quicker because he had to delapse traffic, but that is back to a 1.5 second gap. It was a few laps ago. It was really only about 7 tenths, but it's now gone back up to 1.5, as that's Muscat and Shepherd into the pits for Red Archer and Halcyon. So they're our first scheduled pit stops that we've had here at Hungary, lap 16 of 17.
Lap 16 and Shepherd's actually come out of that traffic. This could work quite well for these two drivers, Muscat and Shepherd. They've realised they need to get out of that traffic now. Muscat's gone back out on the option compound tyre. Shepherd leaves his box now. He's gone out on the primes though, so he's going to run the primes at this point in the race and see how far he can go. And look at that, a beautiful amount of clear air he's come out into. So he's got to utilise these early laps on these prime tyres. And this may just elevate him a little bit higher now that Carl Smith is still under heavy fire from both Nijos, Cooper and both Torrens.
Pace 16, Stanton versus Ryan down into turn 1. Mark Stanton overtook Ryan coming out of the final corner. Ryan does a slipstream and does an old switcheroo down into turn 1 and retakes 16th back. Great racing between the Phoenix F1 and Constant. Not for points position at the moment, but that was still some good action towards the rear end of the field. They've got round Scott Bennett, so Stanton was not ahead of Bennett beforehand, so Bennett losing out there somewhere along the line. The only person who could possibly cause a problem for Jason Muscat will be Lewis Redshaw to see what he does, because he's only 4 seconds up the road. And who's that in? That's Tom Van der Voort in for what was third.
I was just about to say, Van der Voort's pitted and it's now released Easterbeek, but there's a 1.3 second gap between Carl Smith and Easterbeek. So it's we'll have to see how these new tyres then work out for Van der Voort when he comes out.
Junt and Wicks are in 2 for Woods Racing and Red Archer. So obviously this is the time that they want those prime options.
Oh wow, side by side pit lane for Junt and Wicks there.
That will be position potentially for Wicks, because he was behind Junt when they came in. So Wicks obviously much better on the old pit stopperoo.
Still can't, just behind Junt got the advantage out of pit lane, has stayed behind Wixie has stayed behind Junt, sorry.
They were nowhere near that close coming in though, so you can gain so much time on the old running down into the pit lane, because I for one have a fear of getting a pit lane speed penalty, so I'm pretty pansy on the way in. But actually, is that Cooper in? Yeah,
it is, yeah.
you can gain so much. Bruce is following him in as well, so that will release Casa as well up into 4th position for the time being as they pop a lap on Adam Rouse.
Yeah, these guys now coming to pit lane, but you're absolutely right with what you said there. Diving for the pit lane speed limit line, you can definitely make up time and gain an advantage there as well. If you get away cleanly from your box is quite crucial as well. As Cooper now comes out behind, who's that? Steve Verla in the Kerno, and Paresis is going to come out behind Tom Vandervoort as well, but
Cooper's
clear air.
Cooper has leapfrogged Tom Vandervoort though, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So he was much more, took a much bigger risk on entry to pit lane, and he also caught Ruud Heasterbeek. So, but Voss is up the side of the track there.
He is. Let me just take a quick look on the old replay. It's as if, yeah, he's just drawn to a hole. I wonder if he's not going anywhere yet. I don't know if he's had some steering problem or something, or if he's run out of fuel, but the Hawkeye, who was doing so well around the edges of the top 10, that is not going to help him on his quest for points, or to help Hawkeye in their battle with Red Archer for 5th in the Constructors.
And Dave Carl Smith's coming to pit lane now on those prime tyres. That's quite an early stop actually. So Carl Smith's come into pit lane on the primes. Heasterbeek's in behind him as well, and there is Peter Casa in the second Tom Motorsports car also.
Well, let's hope they don't go for another set of reds, because otherwise that will really ruin them. Carl Smith is going over to the option tyres. I can see them on.
Well, let's see where Cooper. What's going to happen with Cooper, because Carl Smith's coming down pit lane now. It's going to release. Now, where's Alex Cooper? Alex Cooper is... Oh, he's just gone through Start Straight. He's gone Start Straight now. He's coming up towards Ruud Heasterbeek. Now, can he pass Ruud Heasterbeek? This would be critical if he can. He's on those fresher tyres at the moment. We got the inside of turn 2. He's getting close. Dips to the left-hand side. No, Heasterbeek's in front, so he holds on.
Taking 2 lines onto the grass. They've got Steve Verloy just up ahead, who is actually yet to stop
Oh, that's
for
a massive
Kerno.
crash.
That's
Boy
Bryson. That's exactly what he done in the practice session. There's debris all over the shot there for the Phoenix guy, and he's immediately left the game as if to say, I am disgusted with you, Carr. But Carl Smith ahead of Verloy, depending how long Verloy stays out for, that is another buffer that he will have. Not that he'll need it, because he has got nice red tyres on. Verloy on the prime tyres will be going a little bit longer, you'd imagine, because you're trying to eke it out. Heasterbeek so lucky to get past Cooper. Sorry I went all over you as if I was doing some kind of stingy poo. But actually, as Cooper having a go at Heasterbeek nearly clouted David Stanton as he exited the pit. Stanton was coming in, and they so nearly collected each other in the pit lane. So apologies for orgasming all over you there, Roland.
No problem. It was my fault as well. I just saw Cooper come around the final corner. I didn't know where Carl Smith would end up. But it's worked out nicely for Carl Smith. He's quite a significant advantage in front of Verloy. And like you said, he's got the buffer. As Heasterbeek's going to pass Verloy going down to turn 1, is he? He does. Late on the brakes, and he's passed Verloy into turn 1. So it'll be Cooper's turn heading up to turn 2. Whoa, no it's not. That's a huge edge there. Went on the curb.
So they said, as they come down into turn 2. Verloy very sensibly there, not fighting it dramatically, because he knows he's not really in this race, but he's doing quite well. De Vos has actually now retired his car, so that is another retirement there.
Yeah, Alex Cooper is now tucked up behind the Kerno at the moment. The Kerno is yet to make his stop, as Heasterbeek is now closing in on Carl Smith once again, but both on options this time, remember, so they're both on the option compound tyre. Carl Smith's now got the primes out of the way with, so he'll be able to go on to the options again. So this is strategy-wise opportune. This is a great strategy working out for Carl Smith at the moment, because he can double the options now if he wants to, whereas everyone else behind will have to do option, I would have thought, prime at the end, which is what Heasterbeek is currently doing, and Cooper. And it's allowed Vandervoort to close up, and the 2 Torrents also. Oh no, Paris has fallen back a little bit there. So, Cooper's going to go to the right-hand side of Verloy, going down to turn 1, straight on speed, not working out there. He's going to brake later, is he? He does, very, very late into turn 1, but Verloy holds on. Oh no, there's superior grip there for Cooper, you could see it. And it's allowed Vandervoort a run also up towards turn 2.
Vandervoort needs to get his nudges out and show what a man he is and go around the outside. He can't afford to pussyfoot around like what he was with Carl Smith, and there he goes steaming through Verloy with less rubber on it than something. That's more debris, I think, they're out on track. It can't still be some from Boyd's, but thankfully Tom showing what kind of sirloin steak he has as a man. Kasser now the next one alongside Verloy. Verloy holds it for the time being. But look at the immediate pulling away that they have over Verloy, who's on used primes instead of these red ones. And that's Heasterbeek off! Heasterbeek's off! He dropped down to 7th position. What on earth happened there? Just having a quick look at the replay, he got right up onto the back of Carl Smith and then just ran wide. He caught one wheel on the gravel, off and around he went. He's just got back ahead of Jason Muscat, who's in 9th. But yeah, Heasterbeek obviously stuck his beak in the sand, and that's not really what you want to be doing at 150 miles an hour.
No, it's not at all. Verloy's just pitted now as well, so it's released Alex Cooper. Alex Cooper in P3 currently. Now that Heasterbeek's had that moment, so Van der Voort's going to be able to close on. The other Niger's going to be able to close on Cooper now, and it's a bit of a free pass there for both Torrents. And the Torrent cars have got significant upgrades. I'm sure cameraman extraordinaire Simon Melliwish will be pleased with that. So they may be actually be able to keep behind Ruud Heasterbeek in that Niger racing car. So it's worked out quite nicely for the two Torrents. It's a question now of what Cooper and Van der Voort can do in catching Dave Carr-Smith.
Absolutely. So as the pit stops start to shake themselves out, it's still Euler leading. He did pit within all of that. We didn't bother watching it.
We missed it, but he's a cool 30 seconds down the road.
It's disgusting, isn't it? I've not had 30 seconds since... Oh, was that Stanton being lapped there by Jump and Wicks? I'm watching the battle for 11th between Jump and Wicks. Wicks was having a go. They've kind of settled themselves down now. But yeah, Euler cruising around like some kind of dirty secret squirrel. 30 seconds practically clear of Carr-Smith. Cooper hounding him down in 3rd ahead of Van der Voort 4th for Nijo. Then it's Torrent Motorsport 5-6 with Kasser and Paresis. Heasterbeek recovering from his error is now in 7th for Nijo. And bashing his beak up against the tree for that one. Muscat getting all hairy-eyed in 8th position for Red Archer. He really gained actually. Not necessarily position-wise, but time-wise in that pit stop phase. Jordan Weeks is 9. James Shepherd lost out and he's in 10th. Only just ahead of the battling Junt and Wicks for 12 and 13. Verloy is in 13th position, just ahead of Lewis Redshaw, and that's someone facing the wrong way at the second to last corner, and I can't quite work out who it was, but it was all looking a wee bit suspectly rubbish, and I think it was Miles Dixon, sadly, as Mark Fuller pops into the pits, and he will drop down to last with that. It's only his first, well, it's his second pit stop, but it's his first shift.
Alex Cooper has closed massively on the back of Dave Carr-Smith now as well, and he's towing Van der Voort along with him, and Peter Kasser is not too far behind either. He's 3 seconds behind, but if these lots start dicing as we saw early on, we saw how fast the cars behind were able to close up, so it's still looking pretty good for the two Torrent cars. Heasterbeek is 1.1 behind Paresis. Muscat is a further 2 seconds back with Weeks in 9th place, and James Shepherd on debut for Halcyon is sitting in 10th place currently, 1.4 in front of David Junt.
I don't think Scott Bennett's pitted so far. He's in 15th. He's had one lap where he was 7 seconds slower than his every other lap. There's no other lap to show that he was slower again afterwards. So Bennett is still running on his first set of yellow rimmed tyres, and
as he just pulls over for Euler there, in fact. So that might be the reason why he goes slow on a couple of those laps to let the leader go by.
Yeah, but making them stretch out. Lap 23 he's on at the moment.
Good run.
Yeah. I don't know if you've been out on these cars or these tyres, but how long did you find that the tyres were generally lasting before you just went, oh Jesus?
Well, I've only got really reference from Lucas, Alex, and also David ran them before as well. David Fiddick, our new reserve driver, and they were going quite far into it. It really depends more so what we've noticed on driving style. Some drivers are able to get a few laps. Whoa!
That's Dixon in the wall.
I was going to say, I've just seen debris on the track for Euler going to the right-hand side of it.
Miles Dixon got caught out on the outside curb of the final corner and went into the outside crowd side barrier. I've not seen an accident like that for a while, at least pirouette into the pit lane wall. So Dixon there, unfortunately, Dixon by name, Dixon by nature, and into the wall and out of it, and that's looked like it was going to happen from the offset, sadly. But he done well to get to lap to 23. Unfortunately, that just leaves his slightly... Cooper's
got a run on Dave Carr-Smith here. Sorry to interrupt you there, Simon, but he's got a run down into turn 1, not been able to get it done. Dave Carr-Smith breaks much later and is able to fend off Alex Cooper. Just to finish your point, the range of tyres, it goes from about 20 to 25, but it's mostly depending on driving style.
Okay. So obviously smoother,
Smoother, longer, yeah, but they might not be on ultimate raw pace, but it could be enough in terms of strategy.
Must be hard though for some drivers to go, do you know what, I can't quite eke out every 10th, but I know that it must be good for me later on, as again Cooper has a little look at Davey Poos. It must be hard psychologically to know that a driver must hold back slightly if they're going to gain greater rewards later on, and it might be harder to program that into some drivers than others.
Yeah, it can be. It depends on the driver and their natural ability and what they would like to do. Carl Smith is just run a little bit wide in the fast right, went defensive coming down towards the right-hander in the final sector. He's still in front of Cooper, but Cooper is looking pretty menacing behind him at the moment. He had a good run at the final corner last time by. Carl Smith goes very, very deep in the final corner, and that worked out for him incredibly. So Cooper is stayed 4 tenths behind.
Excellent stuff. Big shout out to Tom Parker, who sent me a interactive tweet saying, "Hope you have fun, even though I'm not mad. Even though I'm not there, mad hugs for all." So big snuggles back for you, Tommy Doos, and good to see you out on track one day soon. Obviously, if you want to send us a tweet, we've got GPVWC to send it to. You can send it to me personally at @Citroen, and we can ping them out as you go. See how you're enjoying the race itself. An absolute corker so far. As again, look at the. People was having half a go down into turn 4. That's going to be end in tears. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I keep getting new leg spikes here and there, so it might be me just overreacting over very little things. It's generally what I said to a few of my exes, and it's never really got me very far. Still Shepherd, Wicks and Jump battling over 10, 11 and 12 quite nicely. Verloy has got our very own Popstar diva Lewis Redshaw behind in 14th position, and Lewis actually looking a bit impatient to have a go down into the chicane for that position. Verloy out on the options, so that's not so bad for him. No one doing yellow.
Not at the moment. We've got Mark Stanton sitting at the end of pit lane. He spun there, but Mark Stanton's just at the end of pit lane.
Unfortunately, he lost it down the straight in a bizarre incident, actually. Wow. I'm just having a quick replay of it myself, but he's... it's like he's gone off. I wonder if there's a wheel problem, because his car just slowly veers off onto the grass.
On the right of turn 4 as well. Sorry, Simon. The Carl Smith and Cooper just came by, and then Fuller was just sitting on the outside of turn 4. He's also had an accident.
Dear. Well, it's all going horribly wrong. So yeah, put that out by the looks of it. I'm just trying to see what he's up to. But yeah, he's parked. But yeah, Mark Stanton, bizarrely, it just like the car veered off onto the grass and then spun off into the pit lane. I don't know if that was a lack of concentration or something, but bizarre incident there. And Mark Fuller not getting going, but very similar to what we saw with Bart de Vos, who just parked up for a little while and just went, yeah, carried on going.
Yeah, so quite a few instances in this mid part of the race, as Lucas Euler has a cool 35-second advantage over Carl Smith, with Lucas's teammate Alex just tucked up behind the rear wing of Dave Carl Smith. Van der Voort still there in 4th place. Kasser has close to 1.3 behind Van der Voort as his teammate is just lapping. Oh, Ruud Heespeet's got a massive run going down to turn 1 there on the back of Jim Parisi, sorry. Yeah, the lap car there of Kieran Ryan, of all people, notorious for his sketchy defensive line stroke, not being a good back marker. But Parisi is still in front of Heesterbeek.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if there's ways of making your booty very wide, and Ryan knows most of those. But yeah, Heesterbeek nearly got round the outside into turn 2, and if you can hold it there, you can have a go into 3, but he just didn't quite have the grip and the patience and the tenacity to be able to do it. So Ruud will have another go later on.
Well, Parisi wasn't compromised in the end of it, but Kieran Ryan certainly should have done a better job than he did, because it nearly cost Parisi a position there.
Indeed. Scott Bennett finally pits then, lap 27 he's in. So, good run. And he's gone straight onto the red tyres, so that's him back out again in what will be still 15th position, so you may well hold that. Kieran Ryan actually coming down the straight, so they may well meet each other at the end of the pit lane into turn 1. It's going to be quite close, but no, Bennett keeps that, and that will sort him out for the time being. Still ahead of Adam Rouse, and 2 laps down is David Stanton, the last of them. Finally, actually, Fuller has retired, and that was an engine failure for Mark Fuller.
So Fuller was the one parts on the outside of turn 4 where Carl Smith and Cooper and Van der Voort have just gone through. Kasser has closed. Well, no, he's actually fallen off slightly. He was 1.1, it's now 1.5, so it's not... oh no, sorry, scratch that, bit of server lag, it's 1.1 again. So Kasser is still in range of the Ninja Racing, and Parisas has now pulled away from Ruud Heasterbeek as well, after that big moment with Kieran Ryan.
I'll tell you a big moment, P10. James Shepherd has got David Junt, Mark Wicks, Lucas Redshaw, who's just passed Steve Verloy, but Junt and Shepherd were side by side through turns 1 and 2. So just like what we were having earlier on, it's happening again, but this time it's Shepherd who is again on the non-preferential tyres for speed, and then you've got all these people who are trying different strategies behind on the faster tyres, but again, no way through, and he's got up his no entry signs as they're running out quite wide. Little bits of lags here and there, unfortunately, so it may be a bit dodgy in terms of broadcast action for you. I hope it's looking nice on the screen. But Shepherd, Junt, Wicks, Redshaw and Verloy going absolutely hammer and tongs with each other, just like what we had in the stream at the beginning with the big long snake. And Wicks into the pits, actually. So Mick Wicks into the pits there, actually. That releases them. And there comes David Junt down the outside again of James Shepherd for 10th and 11th. But Shepherd has it covered for the time being. And then Junt not quite able to capitalise on it for Shepherd there down into turn 2. So that sorts that out for the time being. But still, Euler now 34.6 seconds clear. Having a laugh. So we're just having a look at exactly what's going on. So we're just seeing what's going on as Alex Cooper looks like he has lagged out of the game, unfortunately, and if that's a lag or a connection issue, that would be such a drama for the Midnight Motorsport team, because he was looking on for a strong old podium there.
He really was, and I am absolutely gutted right now for him if that is the case. It's so harsh, but he's done wonders over the last few days to sort out his pace and sort out his tyre wear in particular. He should be rewarded better than that. I'm so disappointed for him that that's happened. But the race goes on, and you now have Tom van der Voort behind Dave Carl-Smith, and he's already closed the gap to him.
Yoink! As that sorts that out. So, still 35 seconds now, the gap between Euler and Carl-Smith. Van der Voort straight onto the back. It's like as soon as one person stops attacking, the next one has a go. As Lewis Redshaw gets round David Junt for 11th position. So, sorry, 10th position now, because obviously Cooper's demise, which pushes James Shepherd up to 9th. So that battle is sorting itself out quite nicely too. Kasser has got Parisas closer up behind him than what he has been for a while, and that's because Ruud Heasterbeek is actually now pushing these guys along slightly. They've fallen off the back of the Carl-Smith-Van der Voort battle by a couple of seconds now, so I think Heasterbeek is just trying to give him a little bit of a pep talk to say, do you know what, quite fancy a 5-car train, not a 2.
Yeah, it's going to happen like that fairly shortly as well. Heasterbeek's closed on Parisas quite a rate again, and it's allowed, well, I don't know, the gap between Kasser and Van der Voort is now out to 2.3 seconds because Van der Voort has been able to close on Carl Smith since Cooper's retirement. So, I don't know, Torrent cars are still running very, very well though, and if anything happens between those two, they're ready to pounce.
Absolutely, we'll see how that one develops. There's been another change of position, and that's Steve Verloy and David Junt now going side by side for 11th and 12th position. Verloy's got the inside line for turn 2, and he dives right down. He's going to push Junt right out wide. Junt keeps the inside for turn 3, side by side again, and Verloy goes round the outside, takes the position with majesticness and yoinks up into 11th. Jump now down to 12th.
Great word,
and that is
majesticness.
Majestivity. It sounds like I should get a twirly moustache for one of these.
Own dictionary, mate. Own dictionary.
And a Cuban cigar, maybe. By the way, if you wiped yourself clean from my orgasm all over you from earlier, you've got to pass you a towel.
Yes, I clean myself off, dusted myself down.
Good. Every pussy likes a lick, so get yourself nice and clean. Self-cleansing. So, there's the
Is that what uses moisturiser?
Absolutely. Do you know what? If you was on a desert island, what other gunk would you pop on your face? As that's Redshaw into the pits from 11th. So Brittany's in, as is David Junt actually. In fact, if you was to have a driver on the desert island with you, would it be Brittany? There is a question for everyone.
Would it be Brittany if it's Lewis Redshaw, former Brittany? Hell no.
Okay. Well, we could Photoshop before entry. It's like an obscure episode of Lost where actually everyone that crashes on the island would be a GPVWC racer. In fact, that would be a programme I would tune into daily. In fact, I'd probably be in it, to be fair.
Ultimate reality TV.
Exactly. As in comes Tom Vandervoort into the pits for his second stop, and it's only lap 34. That's earlier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, Vandervoort into pit lane already. That is quite early actually. So he's decided to come into pit lane now. He's switching over to the prime tyre as well. So perhaps this will be interesting now to see how far he can actually go on the prime tyres. Yeah, he's fueled up quite a lot, so he's going to have a long second stint here, third stint. He's going to have a very long run on the prime tyres on heavy fuel. I suspect he'll only pit one more time after this, depending how far these go. I would have thought 20 lap range, that's like in around 53. Get home on those tyres. Well, that'll be still quite close, so Vandervoort can do it, but it depends how long the tyre wear is.
Ruud Heasterbeek has got round Jim Paresis, and that was going round the outside of him at turn 2 to have the inside for turn 3. I don't know where he suddenly found that grip from, but it was there, and he yoinked it. So, unfortunately, smash a plate, Mr. Greek man, because you need to get your anger out and get back going again. But he's fallen well off the back of Heasterbeek very, very quickly, actually.
Racer Lucas Oil has just been into pit lane as well and come out, and it is in turn 1. So he has made his second stop and has come back out again on the option compound.
So he's leaving his little snail moment until the end, which I'm sure will provide us an attempt of a grandstand finish. We'll try and make it a grandstand finish. There may be half a minute in it, but we'll pretend it's not. Carl Smith is being closed down though by Casa and Heasterbeek. Then it's like a magnet to Carl Smith's rear end. Everyone wants a piece of it because as soon as someone else drops away, first it was Cooper, disconnect, then Vandervoort was like, I smell what's cooking. Now, all of a sudden, Casa, from being about 3.5 to 4 seconds behind Carl Smith, is suddenly now 1.8 behind. And Jim Paresis on the pit stops has got out ahead of Tom Vandervoort for 5 and 6. That's key.
Yeah, Cass is now just 1.6 behind Carl Smith. Carl Smith is holding on to that second place still. Incredibly in this race, no one's been able to make any sort of impression on him. And Cass is now the one in the Torrent Motorsports car that's closing in. I think the Torrent just has a slight advantage over the Norwegian now. It's not by much in the development upgrade race at all. I think they're very, very balanced, these two cars. But at this point in the race, Casa has got some excellent pace. As just behind him, Ruud Heasterbeek's dived into pit lane.
I thought he was having a really obscure go into the final corner for a second. My sphincter shriveled. But he's in, and that's allowed Casa to just focus purely on the task at hand in front. And well, Petter knows no mercy on those kind of things. So Ruud will stay still on the option tyres when he comes back out again. Paresis is just going round the final corner, so it's going to be close for when they get down to the exit. But I think Ruud may well have had the lot of them. Indeed he has, as he comes flying out down towards turn 1. They've got Scott Bennett in between them. If Bennett can get a train going, he certainly will, blue flag or not. But yeah, Tom Vandervoort seriously losing out in this pit stop shenanigans as James Shepherd pops in from 9th, and that releases Steve Verloy, who's having a right good go at him and is really ascending up the order. That late stop at the end of the first stint for him on the option, prime tyres, really, really sorting him out. Good.
Yeah, James Shepherd in pit lane. He is in 10th, and he stayed on the prime tyre. So we're seeing we've got an option prime here for Shepherd in the house as Lucas Euler has just lapped him, and in fact James Shepherd's teammate Adam Rouse. So Euler carries on, but we're seeing option prime here for James Shepherd.
Well, that's something that no one else has gone for, has it?
Not at this point in the race. No, they've either gone option prime option or option prime.
Curious.
Or, in Lucas' case, option will do prime at the end.
Yeah. Wow. Someone got out random setup generator and just went nuts on it, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Well, I love to see all of this kind of stuff. I think a lot of people always.
Rouse is just retired. Well, he was just in front there, so I'm not too sure what's happened for Rouse. He's in front of Shepherd at the time. So yeah, I'm not too sure what happened to Rouse there.
Yeah, lag out for me for the Halcyon driver, and then he kind of reappears back on the track but facing the wrong way for a split second and disappears. That drops us down to just 16 runners and riders. Real attrition here at the Hungaroring. David Stanton last of them, 2 laps adrift, and he'll just be praying for another few dramas because that may mean he'll pick up the pieces and grab some well-needed points for the Constant Racing team. Constant only have 4 points so far this year, and with Woods having both drivers still, one driver still going in the form of Mark Wicks, he could well leapfrog them, and Constant don't want to be bottom of the pile.
And Dave Carl-Smith's second place man has just dived into pit lane for his second stop. He's gone very, very far on that stint, in fact, on those tyres, further than anyone else, I think, currently on the options. So a good stint there for Carl-Smith, fast lap of a 17.2, as Pedicassa has also come into pit lane. Dave has stayed on the options there as well. Of course, he's already been on the primes. He's on the primes at the start of the race, so he will be option running all the way to the very end, as Carl-Smith's going to come out behind Dave Stanton, but he should negotiate him quite quickly. Hisabeek's now third.
And he's leapfrogged Casa in that.
Yeah, and well, he was all... Oh, no, he wasn't, because he split the tolerance at the time. Yes, you're right. So Hisabeek's into third, and Casa now fourth. No, he was in front. It was Van der Voort that split them at the time. So Hisabeek carries on in third, and Casa from Paresis. But it looks like Paresis has closed on Casa a little bit.
Yes, indeed. Well, there'll be no Nijo splitting the Torrent Motorsports in 2. As they're back together again, it's like they've been elastic banded the entire evening of action here for GPVWC. If you fancy getting involved in this and you're thinking, God, this is looking good, as Verloy exits the pits, went so long on his first stint. Ooh, careful there, Steve. You need to cut the white line on the exit. He's rejoined in 9th, clear of Lewis Redshaw, so he's well impressed on that one. And Shepherd is out behind Redshaw, so James Shepherd losing out in 11th after that pit stop, considering he started that phase in 9th. Really not worked out well for the Halcyon team at the moment, who have just had a dreadful couple of laps with teammate Rouse out of the race too. So Halcyon thinking of better laps to come, hopefully. But if you fancy getting involved in the action, obviously pop along to GPVWC and get yourself signed up into this community fun fest of action. What more could you want, Nick?
I think we've got a battle of the Torrents here. We have indeed, because Paresis has just got the inside of Pedicassa. Petter went a little bit deep into him. I'm not too sure if he was actually just releasing him there as such. But Petter was definitely a little bit deep into him, and Paresis has been released now and behind Dave Stanton, who will momentarily move out the way, I would have thought. So Paresis now has 3.3 seconds to close onto Ruud Histerbeek in the Nijo.
Release the Paris! Off and away, the beast, rather. Actually, no, that brings me back memories of other times. So Jim then up to 4th. The old Jimmy. So yeah, next up is the Beakster. And we'll see how that develops. You can see actually just immediately how he's pulling away from Casa. So he's been stuck behind Casa the entire 39 laps that we've had so far. What could have happened if they'd done a switcheroo maybe a little bit earlier on? You never know, you never know.
Some good pace from Jim at the moment. They've actually lapped very similarly in terms of their fastest laps, which are both 17.8s. We'll have to see now what Paresis can do on those option tyres. He is now 1.3 seconds in front of Petter. Petter may be nursing those tyres to go deeper into the race also, remember, so he may be looking for the strategy where Paresis is going to go for outright pacing, try and close onto Histerbeek and Carl Smith. Histerbeek now just 1.5 behind Carl Smith.
So as they continue to
turn the screw, and yet another driver gets a little sniff of Carl Smith's cutie rear end. But I don't think these people want to be staring. I think a lot of people have been staring at that rear end for quite some time and have wondered exactly how to get over it. But it's been quite successful so far, so let's see how they do. We're into the second half of the race now. So 2 stops have been done by everyone pretty much, except for possibly Scott Bennett is the only person I think that hasn't stopped twice yet. So he's dancing to his own tune. Anyone that knows him would pretty much agree with that statement. The order then is Lucas Euler leads Dave Carl Smith by 37 seconds. Ruud Heesterbeek tracking him down in 3rd position. Jim Paresis leads Torrent Motorsport teammate Peter Kaza for 4 and 5 now that they've switched to Ruud. Tom van der Voort is 6th in Indonesia, having been shuffled out through various pit stops and dramas. Jordan Weeks is up to 7 for Nordzone Racing, ahead of Jason Muscat in 8th for Red Archer. And Steve Burloy is 1 lap down in 9th place, ahead of Lewis Redshaw 10 for Hawkeye, also 1 lap down. James Shepherd is still 11 for Halcyon, ahead of Mark Wicks 12 for Woods Racing, looking good for Pointy Poos. David Junt is 13 for Red Archer, ahead of Scott Bennett 14 for Kerno, and Phoenix F1 in 15th for Kieran Ryan 2 laps down. Oh my god, how they would be excited if they could stay there, ahead of the last runner David Stanton 16th, 2 laps down. As Ruud Heesterbeek again attaches himself to the rear ring of Carl Smith. What can they throw at him now that he's not already seen?
Well, yeah, he's already had the battling of Van der Voort early on in the race. He's had Cooper, and now it's the turn of Heesterbeek again. Let's see what he can do. If Heesterbeek can make any sort of more greater impression than what Van der Voort did, and we will have to wait and see. But Heesterbeek at the moment, he's the next man to be the antagoniser against Carl Smith.
Give him a ball and chain, leather paddle, see what happens as they attack poor Carl Smith's rear again down into turn 1. But look at the differences of how they come out of the final corner. Carl Smith is very angular, whereas Heesterbeek looks a bit wobbly and wide, almost as if he's trying to go out a bit wide and have a go down into turn 1 by getting maximum straight line speed, by having it as long as in a straight line as possible, maybe. But it just
possibly
doesn't seem
so
to get there.
Carl Smith has such a... It's like that. It's like his car is only set up for the final corner, because the grip he has through there is just unbelievable in comparison to anyone else. He can just hold the inside line no matter how worn his tyres are. So it's working for him because he holds that inside line, and Heesterbeek has to run out wider to get the cut back in and a longer run. But the longer run turns out to be 4/10, and it's not enough to close.
Brings up an interesting debate of exactly how you set up your car. Do you set it up for ultimate pace? Do you set it up for the ultimate defence or ultimate attack? And I suppose that depends very much on what type of driver you are and what type of race you expect to run. You've got so many variables that you must rely on, as again Heesterbeek just takes a little peek. Look at Paresis though. You can see him haunting the back of the screens as he just casually eases in. Heesterbeek taking a very tight line into turn 15. That will not help him at all through turn 16. Because
so look again, Carl Smith's got massive grip in the final corner and Ruud can't do anything about it.
Indeed. And Paresis there now is 1.2 behind the Beekster. And yet, as by the time he can utilise his superior power potentially down the straight, there's just not enough straight left to have it, is there?
No, I mean, I want to say there's a dirty air effect going on here, but Ruud Heesterbeek closes in every other corner, but Carl Smith just holds that final corner so well. He just had a bit of a moment out of turn 2 where he didn't get on the power fully, and Heesterbeek closed up towards turn 4. Nothing can be done there, and all the high-speed corners, Carl Smith's got a great drive out of them at slow speed. Not as well. Look again for the fact that you chicane. Heesterbeek closes massively, and then Carl Smith will pull away in the faster corners. So he's definitely gone for that setup where he can get through the high-speed corners very, very efficiently.
See, Heesterbeek, that car, every time he gets that little bit closer, it's a wee bit unsettled. You then start to second guess because you can't fully commit and deliver to exactly where you're placing that throttle and that steering wheel. And let's see how he deals with it on the exit of turn 16, the final turn. That's looking a bit better there for Heesterbeek. That's the kind of line that he needs to take, but he needs to be closer.
now just 7/10 the difference between Paresis and Heasterbeek, as Heasterbeek again does that kind of weird faint effort that I think is something that Carl Smith is almost oblivious to, because they do this little feigning to the inside line but don't really commit to anything by the time they get there. He's to be going right way out to the outside curb in turn 5, really struggling. And now we have a threesome. And, well, a lot of ladies like to go Greek, and if Brutus is coming up from behind, I think that'll excite a few ladies. I don't think it'll excite Heasterbeek or Dave Carl Smith, because they'll be quite happy and content to battle for a podium position just on their own.
Absolutely. Carl Smith's actually pulled away. He's got a half-second advantage now over Heasterbeek as Paresis has closed. Where's Pedicassa? He's 3.4 seconds further back. So it looks like he's just nursing those tyres a little bit more so than what Jim is. But Jim's just cruising up to the back of these guys, and he's there. So we should have game on shortly, like you said, for second place and third place now that Paresis is there.
A bit of news on one of the retirements that cameraman extraordinaire Simon Mush has decided to make privy to us. Mark Stanton unfortunately had his TV monitor go to sleep mode, obviously so riveted by his race that was going on. It went for nap time. Unfortunately, whilst he was trying to find the button to put it back on again, that was why he slightly veered offline and went onto the grass and proceeded to epic bomb it into the pit lane wall. So, oh dear, that is a Life O'Reilly moment there, I'm sure.
Yep, Rude Heasterbeek is very, very close to Carl Smith once again. He's closed those few tenths back down, and the Nijo looking pretty imposing and pretty menacing on the Norwegian. But since the very start of the race, the Norwegian has not had anyone go by it yet, to be honest with you, on track anyway. Few in the pit lane, but then that all got shaken out, and Carl Smith just holds on to second place, and once again with a massive run through the final corner, pulls half second over Ruud Heasterbeek, and he's got nothing left to be able to do to capitalise onto turn 1.
Worthwhile giving a shout out as well to Jordan Weeks, who is Dave Carl Smith's teammate on debut, running 7th position, just 19 seconds off the back of someone who is clearly a highly rated, well-respected driver. He's leading the championship this year, for goodness sake. And obviously Nordstone, Jordan Weeks is one of those people who you have a giggle with him on TeamSpeak. He's always open and honest and prepared to give an extra few attempts. Surely having that kind of person as a teammate who is delivering the same kind of pace, if not around about slightly better than a previous teammate who was busy being negative and draining, surely that's the kind of situation you would thrive in, and that's maybe where some of these out there scenarios of strategy can come from, because you feel comfortable in a place that you can call home to try those kind of things.
Well, like you said, 19 seconds behind at this point in the race for Jordan Weeks on debut behind Dave Carl Smith. That's a very impressive showing that he has at the moment, Jordan Weeks. He's absolutely on it at the moment. He's in 7th place. He's 2.8 seconds behind Tom van der Voort as well on these option compound tyres. But yeah, it's been a very, very solid opening for Jordan Weeks here today. I'm sure Will Panissi, when he logs in and sees everything, he will be very pleased with how Weeks is running at the moment.
Absolutely, he's closing in on Tom van der Voort as well, so we'll keep a beady eye on that one, because he's got 5 seconds over Jason Muscat, who's done very well for Red Archer too. But yes, we'll keep an eye on that one as Heasterbeek takes a very tight line through turn 3. But turn 4, he's having one of the bigger looks so far, because he's right up to the rear of Carl Smith. But it's pointless going for a look into turn 4, because it just shakes you down, and it's better to then have a go down maybe to the chicane, or just save it and just try and counteract the dirty wash that you get off the back of these guys to have a go at a later date. It's almost pointless doing these half-hearted stabs into places that you know you're never going to get anything from.
Well, yes and no, but Heasterbeek is getting through these corners where Carl Smith seems to just completely stop his car, and it comes alive in the second half of the lap. So Heasterbeek's trying to race his own lines, and as we were referring to before, Simon, the fact that you don't want to look at the back of the car too much, And Easterbeek doesn't appear to be doing that because he gets very, very close, but it's just not close enough. And it's now gone out to a second Carl Smith between Carl Smith and Ruud Easterbeek in the space of 4 corners. So the grip advantage goes to Carl Smith. And yeah, a full second now splits them.
We've got Mark Wicks coming up to be lapped, who's running in a very, very creditable 12th place for Woods Racing. Like they could get some scores on the doors, but we'll see how that is dealt with. Mark Wicks, obviously a very gentlemanly-like driver. I don't imagine he'll cause too much shenanigans. But yeah, it's just a constant toing and froing. I just think that if you need to be in a place where you're going to make a stab for a good overtaking opportunity, I wouldn't want to waste my tyre heat and my tyre temperatures and pressures and wear on doing silly half-hearted feigns here and there. I'd sit there and go, right, I'm going to stab it here. Maybe that's just me, maybe that's why I'm at the back of the grid.
No, you're absolutely right. You want to be decisive in your moves, and what you're saying is absolutely spot on. I wouldn't do any different from what you've said. And a lot of these drivers just are trying to take those opportune moments and be enabled to do that, and enable themselves to do that. But yeah, with the way the car's working and maybe the upgrades as well on the cars, it's just not working out for some of these drivers as Carl Smith comes up behind Wicks, who moves to the left-hand side and nicely out of the way. Easterbeek has fallen a second behind it once again, and he's going to have a run behind Wicks. Sorry.
Wicks gets it beautifully out of the way. Over the gents. Yeah, he's getting out of the way. I thought he was going to do this acceleration. Nah, I'm a man. But no, he's got out of the way very nicely indeed. That's the way how blue flag racing should be done. Others should take note, I feel. And we're on lap 49 now of 70. Still 16 runners and riders left in the action. David Stanton now 3 laps adrift. And this really is the battle out on track at the moment, because Wicks has pulled away now from Junt, who's dropped off of Shepherd, who's fallen away from Redshaw, who can't catch Verloy. So that little scrap has kind of fallen to the wayside. And it's just really this battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th that's out there until Wicks catches Vanderpool.
Yeah, he's to be getting close to Carl Smith once again. He's getting close. Oh, yeah, good run through the fast right-hander there in the middle of the second sector, sorry. And he's getting quite close to him. So will this be the opportune moment for Easterbeek to get by Carl Smith? Oh, he's pushing though. Easterbeek, he's getting some oversteer at that second last corner. But no, Carl Smith has once again pulled away 6/10. Wow, he went from 3/10 to 6/10 in 2 corners. So Carl Smith, look at the drive he got out the final corner as well. Miles front, and Lewis Redshaw has just been lapped there as he's made his stop. That'll probably be his final stop as well if he's gone on the primes. Redshaw, yes, Redshaw's come out on prime tyres in the Hawkeye.
That's 11th position currently for him. Shepherd went through on that, so he's only lost 1 during that pit stop, but that's him done. Interesting to see he's got 21 laps to go on that specific car, weaving around in the background to get some temperature into him. He might be regretting that later on if he's feeling that he's running out of rubber. Because again, Easterbeek running out very wide in turn 5, but there's just nowhere to go when you get to that chicane. And yeah, it's going to be. I'm eager for this next set of pit stops, because Kasser and Carl Smith kept coming in together. These two were coming in earlier than Carl Smith. And if they're feeling that actually they have the pace and that they feel that they can leapfrog, with this mod, it's not always paying to come in earlier and try and get those tyres up to temperature and try and leapfrog someone. It's almost trying to think, oh, can I just make these tyres go an extra lap or 2 and still have enough grip to pull out an absolute corker to try and leapfrog Carl Smith later on. There's 2 ways that it can be played, but it's very much a flip side coin of a gamble as to which one will pay off for you.
Yeah, Carl Smith obviously has already been on those prime tyres as well, but these guys behind have probably got to go onto the primes yet as well. Well, Lucas Oil has in particular, he's got to go onto the prime tyres yet. So Carl Smith has been on those primes, so he'll be able to go onto the options once again. I suspect he'll pit in and around 4 to 5 laps time. We're in the window now of where you would go onto the prime compound. It's that sort of 20 laps mark that can get you, should be able to get you to the end anyway. So 20 laps is a nice range to have on the prime compound. So and Lucas Euler, just to say, just did at 16.5, the fastest lap of the race at 1:16.5 for Lucas Euler. We've forgotten about him.
Swanning away on his own. 38.6 seconds clear like some filthy moose. Do you ever get, when you're out front, I can't ever imagine this ever happening to me. If you're out front and you've got such a massive advantage, do you ever run the risk of almost switching off and doing a stupid mistake a la Hakkinen in Imola?
This is never usually happens to me whatsoever, but it's happened once. Last year, the second race I won in Abu Dhabi, it very, very nearly happened with about 5 laps to go. I nearly put it in the wall at Abu Dhabi. That's the only time it's happened.
And is that because you've zoned into such a zone where you're almost relying on natural instinct and it's not always there at the top thing, or what?
No, it's more disbelief that I'm in first place.
After his stop, as Redshaw and Wicks battle away. Wicks yet to pit. Redshaw has done his last stop, so Wicks was last in on lap 30, so he's on the end of his run.
Lucas Oil is just going to pit lane, by the way, and taking the prime compound, so he's finally moved on to the prime compound to run to the end of the race. That will be 17 laps. He'll have to go on the prime compound as he's come out behind Steve Verloy going into turn 1. So Euler has made his final stop and is on the prime tyre. I think we're going to get Ruud Heasterby. Yes, so Ruud Heasterby comes into pit lane after being on those option tyres, and it's going to leave Carl Smith a couple more laps before he pits, I suspect. Heasterby getting Casa goes on though still.
I suppose with Carl Smith he wants to try and eke those out as long as possible, because he does have a tyre advantage regardless, so that if he can keep up 1 or 2 laps at full pace with warm tyres, even though he's going to come out with greater grip anyway, he then doesn't have to try one of these daring overtakes should they have got the jumping and pit stop wise anyway.
Oh, we've got Nijo side by side going to turn 1 now that Heasterby's come out of pit lane. They're both on the prime tyre as well. And the advantage goes to Heasterby because Van der Voort didn't get on the power as early. He's going to go up the inside turn 2, is he? No. So Ruud Heasterby is just in front of his teammate. So there's some pace that happened today. They've both been to pit lane and they are next to each other.
They are, but the problem is Tom needs to pit again. He's not been in since lap 34, so he's ready to... In fact, actually, that's surprising because I thought they were closer than that.
I did as well. I thought they've actually come outside pretty much together there, but of course he's got to make another stop.
7th and 8th, Muscat and Weeks swapping positions. Muscat diving through Jordan Weeks down into turn 1. Weeks on the yellow-rimmed option tyres, whereas Muscat is on the prime. Muscat has just done a 122, so I'm wondering if he'd just been into the pits and came out the pits alongside poor old Weeks. But that is a change of position overall for that, so interesting stuff. Weeks had just been into the pits as well, so we shall see.
Yeah, and Van der Voort, like you said, he has now come into pit lane. He's just making his stop and switches over to the option compound tyre, which will take him to the end of the race. Just about anyway. They're going to be screaming a little bit towards the end, in fact. So, yeah, these option tyres will have gone onto his car. He'll come out quite a way behind Jim Paris now, some 18 seconds behind Jim Paris as he goes into turn 1 for the Nijo Racing of Tom Van der Voort.
Wicks has been in 2 and is rejoined in 13th position. David Junt has got back ahead of him, although they're about 5 or 6 seconds apart on Redshaw. That gives him a juicy 11th for the time being. Casa not really making an impression on Carl Smith. There's 6 seconds between them, so that was a good decision, if that was a team decision, to swap round Paresis and Casa on that, as Verloy pops into the pits from 10th.
Yeah, Paris is very close to Heasterby, and of course Paris is on the option tyre now as well, so we're going to have a torrent. Well, he's already steaming up to the back of Heasterby. It depends now how close he can get through to him in the final corner. Of course, those option tyres are going to be much, much more grippy, and he's got a good run, but that Nijo is pretty handy in a straight line again. Just
constant. It's like it's... If you, as David Stanton just takes evasive action there, you get on, my sons. Paresis much better in the corners, needs to be much more clearer in the straights. but not actually. So guys, we were just having a conflab. We think that potentially Paresis has made a bit of a pit stop boo-boo because we don't remember him being on the prime tyres. So we shall see how that unfolds. We may have to pop back in again and have a quick look round what he's been up to. But if he has made a bit of a pit stop foo-foo, then oops for him. Have you ever done that before?
Not with tyre. No, did I do it with tyres or fuel? I've done it once before. I can't remember if it was tyres or fuel, but he's got a great run here as Jim Paresis out of the final corner, and he'll go side by side with his to begin to turn 1. Oh no, because that's so quick, that Trinity engine in the back of the Nijo. Big late Lunjo into turn 1. Gets it done. Yes, he is. Oh, what? No! Oh, that was ugly.
Crickets. I tell you what, that is what you call a tank slapping bitch slap. As they come out from turn 1. That was crazy cats. I'm glad to see that all 4 wheels are still pointing in the right direction for both cars on that one. But yeah, nice little late lunge in, really sticking the knife in.
Yep, so a decisive move in the end, and Paresis moves up to 4th place. Like I said, we're a little bit unsure on what his tyre situation is. Hopefully he doesn't have to dive back in, but we've not seen him on those prime tyres yet. As Casa he might be into pit lane. Dave Carl Smith comes in. So 2nd place man, Dave Carl Smith, into pit lane. Just in front of him is James Shepherd, who has also come in. He'll make his final stop on Suspect to go on to the options as well. Carl Smith will stay on the options because he's used the primes already. Peter Cassa's coming trundling down pit lane now also as Carl Smith is released. Cassa hits his box and released is Dave Carl Smith.
Well clear.
Yep, well clear indeed, and Casa is out behind his teammate, and also Ruud Heasterbeek on the prime tyre, and also Ruud on the prime. Jim still on the option tyre, Dave is on the option tyre, and Lucas is on the yellow marked primes.
So it's all going to come together potentially towards the end, because there's some people that are obviously finishing off in slightly different strategies. They just need a couple of laps to warm up their gear, and I think we'll see a nice little final spurt of action before we hit the home. Lap 57 of 70 we are on. So 16 drivers remaining. David Stanton the only one not in a points paying position, which I'm sure will make him sob eternally. But Kieran Ryan still sitting in a points paying position for Phoenix, which will be their first one in 15th position. So fingers crossed for them that they may get off the board. Yeah. How have you seen the race unfold so far, Nick?
It could have been so much more, but because Dave Carl Smith chose to do what he did on the hard tyres at the start of the race, he just kept everyone behind. It's been good. It's been some interesting battling, not as much overtaking as I might have expected, but it's yeah, it's been an interesting race because Carl Smith has bottlenecked everyone up, and now he's been released with a 5-second advantage over Paresis. Again, unsure on the tyre situation for Paresis. So I don't know. I just feel it could have been so much more.
Wow.
How about yourself there, Simon? What's your thought on the race?
I do love a bottleneck. That's all I'm going to say. I tell you what, that champagne cork at the very beginning needed to have a good old fizzing up. What we just needed was, I don't know, a little sprinkle of rain to throw in for the last couple of minutes, just to give us a little bit more of a tantalising twist at the end. Feeling a bit spoilt for choice, but no, I think it's been a nice little slow bubbler, like a stew. And you can see that everything is just tenderising together right for the final moments for some last minute action. And although it's not going to be one that I think will stay forever emblazoned on our chest as a sim racing classic, I found it really interesting to see exactly how different strategies play into different people's hands, and also how you set up a car for how you're going to actually attack a race. Because I think a lot of people change their tactics almost on the fly, depending on how they deal with things. But we've seen with Dave Carr-Smith, similarly with Scott Bennett, and Steve Verloy was the other one that done it, and he's really lucked out for Kerno in 9th position. He's done a very strong drive there. They've gone for a very definitive route of saying, do you know what, we're starting on these tyres, we've set our cars up to do X, Y, Z, and this is how we're going to attack the race. And to make that statement and then stick with it throughout, through better or for worse, has actually been one of the more interesting elements of the race for me.
Yeah, I can see what you mean there. In terms of the strategy and how it's panned out, like you said earlier on, everyone seems to be done a bit of a different strategy throughout the field. Lucas did a triple option and is now on the prime tyre. Carr-Smith did it the reverse. He did prime to start with and then onto the options. And then Parisas. Do we actually know yet if Parisas has been on the primes?
We'll leave it as a last-minute gaggle, I think.
Yeah, yeah. He's to be has followed the same path as what Lucas Euler did. He's now on the primes at the moment, and Pedicassa is also currently on the prime tyre with Van der Voort on options. So a little bit of change of strategy throughout the race there, but most people have opted for the option tyre at the end of the race, other than Carr-Smith and the unknown Parisas.
Dum dum dum. We have to keep an element of surprise in there somewhere. It's a 30-second lead, for goodness sake.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Boom. So, obviously, we've got some other events coming up later on. We've got, after here, we are off to Spain, obviously, aren't we, for the Spanish Grand Prix. Not too much characteristics that are similar from the Hungarian ring to the, or Hungarian, sorry, to the Spanish Barcelona circuit. So really, can you how do you set up, say, your car in terms of upgrades and stuff like that? Do you look at the next race ahead specifically, or do you look for the next cluster of races? How do you deal with that? Because it's two very different circuits.
More to the second part of what you were saying there. We particularly look at a cluster of races to see when it's a good idea to bring a set of upgrades through, whether that be downforce or drag, whatever it may be, whatever required at a certain point in time. So we look for maybe a cluster of races where we think that we could do with something specific for those series of tracks. It hasn't been the smoothest start for us, it has to be said, but nevertheless it's progressing, and unfortunately Alex couldn't really show what he was made of today, because he really has done an exceptional job over the past few days, and he hopefully will be able to show in the next few races.
Well, as is the odd mechanical failure that will take hold of the real open wheelers. Unfortunately, our mechanical failures can just be a plug socket, or indeed a sleep mode on an LCD screen. But unfortunately, I do throw people into the mix, or throw you into the mix. I know I always have a personal goal of never crashing out during the season, and that is always my own little personal thing. And I think a lot of other drivers obviously follow the same sentiment. 8 laps to go. Euler cruising. 29 seconds now the gap between himself and Carr-Smith. So Carr-Smith, I don't think will be able to eat in at quite the rate of what he needs. He's got Parisas though, who is stalking him quite nicely, and the gap between those now is exactly a second. Could be very much on for a little showcase finish from those two. Easterbeek will be dropping away due to his tyre choice, as will Kassa. And yeah, I'll be very interested to see what Parisas is going to do, because I'm with Cameraman Extraordinaire here. I don't think he's been on the yellows.
Yes, I'm not entirely sure if he has yet either, but he's doing a superb job in second place, and this is third place, sorry, battling for second place.
Well, it's still there.
Yeah, exactly. He wants that second place off Carr-Smith, and he is closed massively once again onto the back of Dave Carr-Smith, both on the same tyres, like as we said there before, on the option compound. And this is one of the strongest showings for Torrent, obviously just reflecting how well they've upgraded their car and the particular route they've taken in terms of upgrades. And they've turned up with Hungary with a pretty stellar looking car here at the moment, and Jim's making the most of it, and Petter's down in 5th having a pretty sterling effort as well, just 4 seconds behind Ruud Heasterbeek.
Just again different. Well, I think the reasons why Carl Smith is so mighty out of that final corner, he's taking a different line to everyone else. A lot of other drivers are taking a very tight entry into that corner and then running wide out on the exit as if to try and make it a flowing exit, whereas Carl Smith stays very much central to the tarmac all the way round. And that gives him, I think, a little bit more power on the exit in a more controlled straight line fashion, and maybe that may help him out with that. I'm not sure.
He gets such a clean drive, but the angle of the corner would dictate that you got a tighter steering angle, and the guy going around the outside should be able to get onto power earlier, but it just isn't the way. And Carl Smith's able to hold that inside line significantly enough that no one can get a run onto the straight.
As Paresis now jumps on to the back of Carl Smith, and well, everyone else has had a go at his rear end. He might as well join in and make it a cake of it, I suppose, if you want, or whatever it's called these days. I can't remember. I'll try to act all innocent for at least 1 second. And Carl Smith feeling the need to actually step out and go a little bit defensive, actually, for one of the first times really today, because he's not really had to. He's just been able to drive a normal race almost and just be wary of what's going on in his mirror. But there he was actually starting to think, this guy could well actually do something to me today.
Yeah, again, Dave Carl Smith, he ran a wide line that time, and even running a wide line, Paresis was not able to make any sort of impression and lost 6/10 in the process because of it. But the corner before, he was right with him. So, king of the final corner has been Dave Carl Smith. Oh, Paresis with a huge oversteer moment there as well.
Yep, on the curb, never a good sign. But yeah, any other particular teams that have shown good for you today?
Well, Nietzsche obviously is running very strongly with the package they have at the moment. They've got one of the more upgraded cars as well, so they've been running quite nicely. Jason Muscat's in 7th currently, so he's been running very, very well, but I think he might have to make a stop. Oh, just to say that, he dives into pit lane. So Jason Muscat is coming in. That's going to put him quite close in the range of where Jordan Weeks is. That's going to be 17 seconds. So yeah, Jordan Weeks is going to be quite close. So the second Norwegian car I've been particularly impressed with. I think Jordan's had a great debut for Norwegian racing here today. We'll just have to wait and see where he comes out in relation to Muscat. Muscat's not even moving yet, and Weeks is in the final corner. Away goes Muscat now. And Weeks is going to go by him already, is he? Yes, he is. So Weeks is into 7th place. And Muscat is now in 8th. So a strong showing from Muscat. And Verloy's inside the top 10. That's a particularly good showing because that Kerno's been a good car, but they've not really got their head round it. But today they may have just done that, and that Kerno's showing very nicely in 9th place. So Steve Verloy with a good job, and James Shepherd showing what the Halsey can do as well in 10th place. In front of Lewis Redshaw. Lewis Redshaw has been a usual protagonist inside the top 10, but at the moment it's just on the outside in 11th.
He lost out, didn't he, with that spin earlier on that dropped him down to 15th.
Ah, yes,
which I
of
think
course.
He's struggled with and has never quite got back. I tell you what, though, Steve Verloy may fancy 8th place because Muscat has come out on cold tyres, and Verloy's already on the up to speed, up to heat primes. Or options, sorry. I'm having a bad day with my primes and my options. The red ones.
Option.
How to option. It's been a long day. Theodore wasn't fun. So yeah, he's already up to scratch. They've got Scott Bennett in between them. Actually, his teammate holding him up slightly. Get out of the way, Benny boy, or Benoit if he was a Frenchman. They've got to really sort that out. And Kieran Ryan, they've got to negotiate too, which is never a mean feat. So once they've sorted that out, you can see Muscat being well held up there. I think we'll have problems once again. Or a battle at least for 8th position. Again, Paresis actually one of the closest he's been so far to Carl Smith across the line, but still 4/10.
Yeah, lost nothing on the straight there at all. Carl Smith just held exactly the same. So Paresis is still trying to close on Carl Smith, but just exactly the same speed, and Paresis can't do anything about it. They can't get anywhere near him. In fact, Carl Smith when it comes from the final corner down to turn 1. Closes again here now. Big oversteer moment as well. All of that inside turn 3. It's quite a big dip there as well. I'm sure you probably felt it in the former challenge car. And the outside for Paresis here, that was looking pretty good for him, but not this time by. But yeah, the in. Oh, big lunge! Big lunge! Oh, can he get the cut back? No, Carl Smith holds on.
So tight on the
way in there. At least he had a good stab, and I'll commend Jiminy Crickets for having a good stab, because that needed to be done.
I think all of us up here are commending that Jim's just done there. He's the first one that's really made a very bold attempt to try and pass Carl Smith. That was great work from Jim Paresis. So he's laid down his statement of intent with these last few laps remaining. So a big push now here from the Torrent boys, and cameraman extraordinaire Simon Melnish must be thrilled with the fact that Jim's having a go.
Absolutely. So also Verloy was having a go at Muscat, but that didn't work out for him at the same place as well. So obviously chicane is now a preferred method of choice. Paris is well back, so he needs to gather momentum and have a go. He's got 4 laps in which to do it, so he's really got maybe 2 or 3 stabs, and then that will be it. Same for Verloy, who's able to catch right up to the back of Muscat, but not where it matters, and it's always down at turn 5. He nearly rear ends the back of Muscat, such as the difference in grip there between 8th and 9th positions. Red Archer versus Kerno, but just where it matters, again in the straight line, he's just kind of left washing away. Paris is not able to replicate the stab down into the chicane, but right onto the back of Carl Smith for 2nd and 3rd. If he can just keep around this distance coming out of the final turn, maybe he'll do something, but there's something fundamentally in the setup that is enabling Carl Smith to just romp away on those fast corners, and we've seen it lap after lap, opposition after opposition has got the upper hand.
Yep, he's got some sort of advantage in that car that's allowing him to leap out of these corners, but they are coming up to the back of Scott Bennett and Kieran Ryan, so this could compromise Dave in the next couple of corners.
They are in a battle over 14th and 15th position. Bennett and Ryan squabbling away like God knows what. Bennett's come out to have a go at Ryan down into the final corner. Ryan goes in wide, Bennett goes up to the inside. Carl Smith's thinking, where on earth am I going to go? Who's going to be the one that gets out of the way? They're having their own little scrapperoo. It's going to be free wide into the corner. Ryan runs out wide. Bennett goes for the takes the position.
Oh, this is horrible for Jim.
Oh, poor Jiminy.
Oh, he's made it. What a move.
Free wide into turn 3. Who'd have thought that? Paresis has the pair. Ryan does a sneaky squirrel round the outside of Bennett. Quicker than a ferret up your trousers, that one was. And poor old Bennett, for being the gentleman, ends up being absolutely screwed over. So I think you just said something there, Nick,
yeah, I was
maybe
just saying
crucial.
that I think Jim's put his pit light on. He might have to come in for those option tyres. Wow, I've got it wrong this time. Prime tyres.
Yay, it's catching. The infection is catching. It's like an STD. I'm spreading it round. As Redshaw has just passed. What's happened to Jordan Weeks? Jordan Weeks has dropped down to 10th position. He must have made a mistake somewhere, or spun off, or something like that. Yeah, oh no, he's cruising, because James Shepherd has just gone through, and Weeks is running. Well, he lost 8 seconds that lap, but it's just through pure speed. He's losing time all over the shop, so something is wrong for Jordan Weeks.
And Jim Paresis is now into pit lane as well. He's coming from 3rd place, so he has had to switch on for the prime tyres right at the very end of the race.
Oh, what a shame.
To make sure it's legal. So his teammate goes on by, so Petter goes by. Tom van der Voort's going to go by as well. Jim Paresis just left pit lane now, and that's dropped him down to 6th position. And there's a great, like you said, there's a great battle between Muscat and Verloy here for over 7th place. Shepherd 9th and is 2.8 seconds behind, so if they start dancing, it's going to get interesting.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. And it's Muscat is on the wrong tyres compared to Verloy. Just had a confirmation from Jonathan Attercliffe that Weeks' engine, he said, is not happy with him. So obviously Jordan having a bit of a disagreement.
It's not, that
with
is a lot of white smoke that's coming out the back of that engine at the moment.
Someone take that one off to some kind of Nicorette patch on the back of that car. Not looking good at all. Hopefully he can limp it home, but this is music to the ears if he can conk out now for David Stanton, who's 4 laps down, thinking please give me a point. But just, you may be able to do a Panis in Adelaide 95 and just limp it round for a few laps and gain the points.
Well, he's short shifting, but there's a lot of smoke coming out the back of that car.
We've also seen Verloy has dropped right off the back of Muscat as well. There's over a second between them, so I think Verloy's had a go or made a mistake, and James Shepherd now is called onto the back of him, so we'll watch out for that. And Lucas Euler waltzing round into his last sector now. What would you say to describe his achievements today?
Quietly awesome.
Yeah, supreme. Pole position by
nearly a quarter of a second over his teammate Alex Cooper. Got off the line absolutely fantastically where his teammate did not, and was able to stay ahead of the absolutely gangbang clashing snake that Carl Smith was able to keep behind him. It fell into place, but he had the pace to make it his own race. Lucas Euler wins round 4 of the 2013 GPVWC Super League Championship here at the Hungaroring in absolute classy style for Midnight Motorsport. Fantastic action for him. Dave Carl Smith comes round the final corner to take second for Nord Zone in what was a bold and delicious strategy which paid off pure dividends for him. Third will be Ruud Heesterbeek, who's had a topsy-turvy up and down thing, and he'll be ruling that mistake that he had right at the end. Jordan Weeks has parked it, by the way. We've got Peter Kaza will be coming around in 4th position. Tom Vanderbilt's in 5, but it's just been hit from behind by Paresis out of the final corner. Paresis nudges Tom. They're going to go side by side. Yeah, Jim pulls back off again. He literally rear-ended Tom with the sure extra grip that he had, and just smacked into poor old Tommy boy, but knew that it was illegal and stayed behind. So Tom Vanderbilt stays 5, Paresis 6, Muscat 7, 1 lap down. Verloy got 8 in the end, so he didn't get round Muscat. James Shepherd 9, Lewis Redshaw gets 10, so another top 10 for the Britster. 11, Mark Wicks, he'll be delighted with that for Woods Racing. 12, David Junt, also 1 lap down, just crossing the line now. Jordan Weeks is being pushed around for 13th position by teammate Dave Carl Smith in a somewhat suspicious look back at what seems to happen around the Hungaroring. 3 laps down in 14th for Kerno will be Scott Bennett after a difficult race for him, but he passed Kieran Ryan in the end after that stonker of a battle. But Kieran Ryan grabs a point for Phoenix F1 3 laps down, and that gets them finally off the board, and your last runner and rider home 4 down, David Stanton for Constant.
And Dave Carl Smith is pushing Jordan Weeks to the line.
Wouldn't have had that for his old teammate, would you? I don't think I'd want to.
Yeah, but Jordan Weeks is being pushed round by Dave Carl Smith at the moment.
Excellent stuff. So he's just going to get us the last piece. The retirements then. Out at the very start with a crash was Ben Warren into the pit lane wall. David Gaspers binned it after binning it on lap 1 as well for Green Stripes. Then lap 3 Liechtenstein did something very similar for his ending Green Stripes Racing miserable day, and they're still with 0 points after 4 races. Bart de Vos had a bizarre parking up for Hawkeye. Boyd Bryson binned it out of turn 3 for Phoenix. Then Miles Dixon binned it out of the final corner for ST. Mark Fuller binned it down the straight for ST. He had an engine failure, but Mark Stanton binned it down the straight for Constant, didn't he? Lap 25. Alex Cooper disconnected, unfortunately, lap 29. Adam Rouse, very much the same for Halcyon on lap 34. And Mark Wicks actually saying that his suspension was wrecked when David Junt lagged through his car, so not grand for him. So that may well have explained, because he was right up onto the back end of that big train of cars, but it didn't quite work out for him. Whew. That was good fun, wasn't it?
It was. That was a very, very interesting race.
And, well, it got a mouthful as well, so can't complain.
Thank you for that.
Can't complain. You're welcome. What else would a co-commentator do? So, yes. So, what that will do, championship-wise, Dave Carl Smith will obviously still be leading the championship, but Lucas Euler will leapfrog the Beekster for 2nd and 3rd overall, and with Cooper not scoring, Paresis should leapfrog him for 4th and 5th overall in the standings, with Casa moving up to 6th. Muscat gaining more points will keep him very happy in 7th, and Tom Vandervoort will also be a big mover and shaker in that, going up the order. And sorry, Green Stripes have scored points, it's just I'd forgotten all about them. But they will drop behind Halcyon and Kerno, because they have scored big today, and Green Stripes scored barrier. So who we got in the comms box with us, Nick?
Let's see, we have Lucas, And Dave at the moment, they're the two we have at the moment, is first and second placemen, Lucas Euler and Dave Carr-Smith.
Paparoo. Well, I think I've blabbered on quite enough, and I've got a Cherry and Sultana scone here eyeing me up beadily, saying, you know what we've got to do, boy. So take it away, Nick. Go for it, mate.
All right, well, I've got to say, firstly, awesome, Lucas Euler. Mate, that was a superb race. Pretty much on your own for the entire race as well. How did that one pan out for you?
Well, qualifying went already well with me and Alex 1-2. The start was actually my worst start this year. I got away quite okay, but then got some wheel spin. I watched in the mirrors and it looked safe, but then suddenly from the rear right, Dave stormed near. I tried to squeeze him a little bit. I hope that wasn't too bad. And I was able to get to P1. I knew Dave started on the prime, so with him being second, I thought he would pretty much do what he did, like holding everyone up and doing his race. So I just wanted to get a pit stop lead. And from there on, the first stint I pushed really hard to increase the gap and then save the tires and be easy on the car.
Well, you did a superb job in that opening stint when Dave had pretty much the entire field behind him at one stage, and you were romping away at a good few seconds a lap. You were pulling away. From that point onwards, when you knew you had the pit stop advantage, was it a case of just trying to control the pace then as such and turn the engine down, or did you realise you still had to push on those option tyres?
It was quite controlled. I noticed that when I was controlling the race, I could increase my tire life. So yeah, in the third stint, I just wanted to make sure I get the fastest lap. So I think 3 laps before the end of the stint, I put up the boost and tried to get it again, because I didn't know if Dave would go on the options in the last stint and maybe do a magic lap and grab it from me. So yeah.
Well, on my behalf, I'm absolutely delighted, and I've just been informed by Alex as well that he actually lost connection throughout the race, so it's not great for us in terms of that, but you have had an absolutely superb race there today, Lucas, and many congratulations.
Boss is happy with you.
I'm very happy.
Thank you.
Oh, pub for you guys.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to second place man then, Mr. Dave Carr-Smith. With the dynamite button apparently on his steering wheel to get him from 7th to 2nd by turn 1. That was an unbelievable start you had there. And then it was pretty much a case of hold the field up for, what was it, about 16 laps there at the start?
Yeah, pretty much. That was pretty much a strategy from the start of today. We knew the car wasn't particularly great here. I think Nijo and Torrent have both got more development than us here. But we saw in Super Cup last night the track position was key, so I just tried to make the most of that. Sacrificed first gear for the start, which I'm glad paid off. And then it was just controlling the tyres mostly. The options were awful, really bad.
Yeah, well, you saw how far you were. You were in the 20 to start with when Lucas was doing 17s, I think, for the first couple of laps. So a lot of the pace was lost there. Were you? Did you endeavour to go longer on those tyres, or did you always see a 3-stop being on the cards today?
It was always going to be a 3-stop, bordering on a 4-stop really. Real troubles with the options this morning. Thankfully managed to eke a little bit more out just by backing down the pace a little bit in the race, but there's no way I could have done what I think Scott Bennett did, and he tried to 2-stop them.
Yeah, well, we heard before the fact that you guys, and we saw in qualifying, you guys were the only really ones to go on the prime tyre, and you made them work for you throughout that race. And you had plenty of battles, well, attacks from behind from Alex, Rude, Tom Van Voort, and also Jim. But none of them were able to make the impression. You just seemed to have a line and a drive out the final corner where you're pulling anything between 3 and 4 tenths. Was your car in particularly set up for that final sector?
Entirely. We had the short first gear for the start, and then the rest was just about getting drive off that final corner. It was the rest of the lap, as long as you place the car well. They haven't got a hope in hell's chance of getting past you. Jim got close, but yeah, if that had come off, I'm not sure it would have really mattered anyway, because he had to pit.
Well, there was that. We discussed it throughout the broadcast. The fact that he was on the we didn't know if he actually had been on the option, the prime tire at that point, and he hadn't. And it was impressive to see how much drive you did get off that corner in comparison to the drivers around you. Jim was only really one that made the impression in the chicane. Was there anyone else you were particularly worried about that was battling with you?
I didn't spend that much time with him behind me, but Ruud was perhaps the one I was most worried about. He had a great pace in qualifying. Really lucky that I was able to get him down to turn 1. Otherwise, I think he would have disappeared off into the distance with Lucas.
Yeah, well, a superb second place. Obviously, that's helped your championship out there today. And just a word on your new teammate, Jordan Weeks. How do you feel that he's done today?
Considering it's his first race, I think he did really well. Didn't get the best of starts and then got caught up in a ridiculous train, which was mostly my fault. A shame his engine went, but it's his first race. We can let him off, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, a great one for you there, Dave. And how about Simon, from yourself? Any more questions to these two?
No, just basically, obviously, 2 very different strategies, 2 very different cars, 2 very different drivers. Next up, we've got a certain Solero Sunbeam track at Barcelona, Spain. Who do you think will have the upper hand there when you put it all together, package-wise?
Is that to me or Dave?
That'll be to Dave first.
I think Barcelona, you can't look past the midnights. We saw last year how much the R&D matters there, and I don't believe anyone's going to get close to them before that race. So I expect them to run away again. As for the rest, I'm not really sure. I think we might have some upgrades coming, but what impact they'll have, we'll have to wait and see.
Lucas, fancying 30-second gap next time?
I gotta say it was a bit boring, although I got scared a bit at the start. I don't mind racing people, but I guess it's going to take a while, a few races until everyone closes up and the races get more interesting up front again.
Never mind. You can always have the broadcast going on your side, so you can casually look across and maybe make a mistake or two, giving us a bit of hope. We'll see how we get on. No, thank you very much to Dave and Lucas for coming in and showing us from the driver's eye. Any last words, Nicaroo, before we sign off and get thoroughly plastered?
It's been a great race tonight, and I'm thoroughly pleased for Lucas. Disappointed, obviously, for Alex, but I think with what Dave said there about the upgrades come along, it should be an interesting next couple of races because they'll probably be coming thick and fast.
Absolutely. And we will be back on your screens, dum dum dum, for that certain Spanish Grand Prix. And we'll be kicking off, obviously, with the Formula Challenge, then the Super Cup, and then the Super League for the Grem de la Grem. That will be kicking off from the 23rd of April for Formula Challenge, and the 24th, obviously, the Wednesday for Super Cup. And then we'll be back on April 25th for the Spanish Grand Prix at Catalonia from around 7:30-ish British Standard Time for quali in the race, and we'll be having a damn good shenanigan whilst we're at it. Thank you very much to Nick for, as ever, being commentator extraordinaire, and thank you very much to Simon Melwish for being cameraman extraordinaire. And my name's Simon Smith, and I'm just a bumbling old fart. You lot will take care, and we'll see you back then. Bye for now.